Shannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
Coonies have gone sofa mad with incredible savings on the Brooklyn sofa 3 and 2 with console all reclining. Was 2097, now only 1299, saving €798. The Sydney sofa 3 and 2 and 311 was 1897, now only 1499, saving €398. All sofas in stock ready for immediate delivery, but hurry, only while stocks last. Coonies Home Interiors, style and perfection at incredible value.
Alarm clock. Highland Radio.
Before we just hand over to the Gregory Hughes, who has a lovely cup of coffee. It's not very often he comes in with coffee in here. Hi to St Bernadette School.
Caroline's off, you see.
Caroline's off. So you set, what did you set the tone?
Do nothing. I just
they made it for you?
Donna Marie has a cup of coffee at the top of the hour, and I joined the party.
Oh, party! Is mine out there? Is it?
No.
See, you know. I know. Now I know my friends. St Bernadette School, Letterkenny. I'll be down for the coffee. John Quinn's in the kitchen. Hi to them all this morning. Have a great day.
What are they doing there?
A wee request.
Oh, it's just saying hello to them. There's
just
nothing
to
going
John
on
in the kitchen. I don't know. He'll be cooking up a storm in there.
The engine room of the school, keeping the kids full of energy and
full
nutrition.
Full of fuel and we need that, don't we?
Of course you do.
You enjoy your breakfast? You don't have breakfast. You don't have breakfast, do you?
No, but I'm going to start.
Is your tummy not rumbling?
No, but if I had say cornflakes or Weetabix now, see about 10:30, 11,
be starving.
I would be actually starving.
Do you get cross when you're hungry?
Hangry?
Yeah.
No.
Do you not?
It's not a thing.
It is
for
a
me.
thing.
Oh, I know it's a thing.
Oh, it is a thing.
Oh, I know it's a thing.
How do you know it's a thing?
I'm not saying.
I know it's I'm not saying either. That says it all. We know Texas this morning.
Well, not forever. Might be a couple
not on the watch.
Hours.
What do you mean? You seen I'm cross? We have a good show, right?
I never said any such thing.
No.
Lee, have a great Monday.
Yeah, you too.
You know, be happy.
Do my best.
Good stuff. Look after yourself. Thanks, Lee. And it's the start of a wonderful week here, hopefully, on the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Let's get a news update at 9 and say good morning to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Police in Tyrone have renewed their appeal for information following the death of a Donegal woman in a two-car collision close to the Ulster American Folk Park outside Omagh on Saturday afternoon. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
82-year-old Bernie Cranley from Lifford was killed in the collision on the A5 Mellon Road between Omagh and Newton Stewart at around 12:30. She was the driver of a silver Toyota Vitz, which collided with a blue Suzuki Vitara. The other driver, a woman in her 70s, was taken to hospital by ambulance for treatment of serious injuries. Police say their inquiries into the circumstances of the collision are continuing, and they're anxious to hear from witnesses or anyone who may have dashcam footage from around that time. In a statement, West Tyrone MLA Daniel McCrossan said he was heartbroken to hear of another life lost on the A5.
Human remains found on farmland in Kerry have been confirmed as those of Michael Gain. The 56-year-old had been missing since March 21st. His partial remains were discovered near Kenmare over a week ago. A man in his 50s had been arrested in connection with Mr Gain's disappearance, but was released without charge last Monday. Sinead Kelleher, a journalist with the Kerryman, says the results of a post-mortem examination will be vital in determining Mr Gain's cause of death.
This is very devastating news, most over for his family, but also for the community. Because I suppose this finally confirms that Mr Gain, who's been missing since March 20th, was on his farm for this time. It also shows that, that he'd been laying there for weeks and weeks now while Gardaí had been searching the farm.
An Irish MEP is calling for an explanation from ESB Networks as to why there's been a significant increase in power cuts across the country, and particularly in Donegal. Cynthia Ní says there are 34 planner groups across the country, 2 of them in Donegal. According to figures she's received, the Letterkenny area recorded a 44% increase in power cuts between 2023 and 2024, while the Killybegs area recorded one of the highest increases in power cuts in the country at 61%. And there will be a discussion on that issue a little later on the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes. A report published today expects a slowdown in global and Irish growth in 2025 and 2026. Consumer spending and business investment growth are both expected to cool in Ireland this year. That's according to AIB's Economic Outlook report. It comes as international volatility remains high. AIB Chief Economist David McNamara says there are a number of factors at play.
So we're expecting our preferred measure of growth, modified domestic demand, to slow to about 2.5% this year and 2% in 2026. So that compares to about a 3% current pace of growth at present. And really it's driven by a couple of factors: weaker business investment in the face of uncertainty, but continued growth, but also a more cautious outlook for consumer spending, with households likely to save a little bit more rather than increase their spending.
And medics say an Israeli airstrike on a school-turned-shelter in northern Gaza has killed 31 people. Israel's military insists it targeted a Hamas control centre embedded in the area and that steps were taken to mitigate the risk of harming civilians. Sky's Middle East correspondent Alistair Bunkall has been hearing from sources at the scene.
At least 3 of the classrooms were infernos, engulfed in flames. I've seen pictures and video of charred bodies coming out. It is an indescribable situation.
Weather forecast: scattered showers and some sunny spells at first, but becoming cloudy and wet with outbreaks of rain moving eastwards through the day. The rain will turn heavy at times in the late afternoon and into this evening. Top temperatures 12 to 15 degrees Celsius in a moderate to fresh southwest to west wind, becoming strong at times. That's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
Between packing, passports and racing to check in, holiday prep can be, well, pure chaos. But your travel money, that you can tick off long before you leave. Pop into your local post office today to sort your travel money in either cash or card instantly. Or sign up for a card in the An Post Money app and top up before you go. No commission on foreign currency, no need to pre-order, no fuss. Visit your local post office today. An Post Money, making better happen.
T's and C's apply. An Post Money currency card is issued by PPSE USA pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPSE USA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules. An Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide foreign currency cash.
And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show here on your number one local radio station. It is the 9 till noon show. It's the 26th of May, 5 minutes past 9. I hope you're all very well indeed. How was your weekend? I hope it went well for you. It's interesting, you know, lots of stuff pops up at the weekend. Some of the contacts I had, a lady was being harassed by a international caller begging for money. Another family have a young person in the home waiting 4 months for a driving test, and it's causing a great deal of anxiety. And another person had their car hit by a car from Northern Ireland, and the Northern Irish Insurance Company refused to engage with them. I'll ask you more about those a little later on, potentially, particularly the last one, but it's just that stuff happens at the weekend, and we're here Monday to Friday, but we never really switch off. So if you've got something that you want to talk about, or something that popped up for you over the days between now and Friday, get in touch with us. Maybe we can get a resolution to you. Maybe the hive mind of the 9 till noon show listenership might be able to assist you or give you some guidance or support. The lines are open for everybody, whether you've ever texted a radio station or us or not. 086 60 25,000. We want to hear your news and we want to hear your views. You can WhatsApp that number too. If you want to WhatsApp voice notes, do that. You know, not everyone can read and write as well as other people, or have other issues that might make sending a voice note better. We want to give everyone the opportunity to have their say and get their issues addressed or their feelings off their chests. So 086 60 25,000. Now you can give us a call. It is Donna Marie and Shannon who are taking your calls today. And also email comments at highlandradio.com. And don't forget, you want to watch the show. And good morning to Dolores and Noreen already saying hi. Hello, ladies. You can watch the show if you're at home or working from home or working in the home on your smart TV or your Fire Stick. Open up the YouTube app, type in Highland Radio Ireland, and we're there. And you can see most of our guests and topics, or if we're talking about, I don't know, illegal dumping or some issues like that, we often have photographs so you're able to watch and engage in that regard. We're also across our Facebook pages and on the X platform as well. As is the norm, we'll have a look at what's making the front pages and inside some of the newspapers today, starting locally, the Derry People Donegal News. A local councillor believes that now is not the time to proceed with a number of active travel projects in Letterkenny as the town is choking with traffic congestion. The topic is expected to generate some lively debate at today's meeting of Donegal County Council in Lifford, where councillors will be asked to give the green light for the major works, which would primarily see the installation of dedicated cycle lanes and new footpaths on the Circular Road and also on the Ballyrain Road in the town. However, Councillor Kieran Brogan, has stated that he'll be opposing the plans as they currently stand. The single biggest issue at the moment in Letterkenny is the amount of traffic congestion in the town and the need for proper traffic management, he told the Donegal News. But what do you do? I mean, I think it's clear that things that are happening in and around Letterkenny at the moment are with one eye on the future, i.e. when the 10T projects progress. So, you know, if you have less traffic in the town because of relief roads or bridges or whatever it might be, you know, you want the town to be an easier place to navigate and people to move around in different ways. More people are on bikes and scooters or out walking now. But in the absence of that relief, you know, there's an awful lot of traffic. And if you narrow roads, take away lanes, that causes problems. It's a tough old balancing act because the money's there now to do some of this work in and around the town. I hope I haven't framed it incorrectly, but that's how I see it. I just feel the town is developing ahead of the development that's needed, i.e., you know, the relief bridge. Keep traffic that doesn't want to go to Letterkenny out of Letterkenny, and then, you know, make it in a more active travel space, you know, town buses, bikes, scooters. But as I say, the money is there right now for the active travel projects, and I don't know if it's a use it or lose it situation, but it's a big shout because do we think about the here and now, or do we think about what's the situation going to be in 5, 10 or 15 years? If you're in and around Letterkenny, what do you think? 086 60 25,000. Do you believe the active travel project should continue, or do you believe they should be suspended pending, you know, the relief of traffic in Letterkenny? The Derry News this morning reports that Derry Peace Building intermediary provided a character reference to, I presume, prominent loyalist Winston Irvine. It's emerged in the reference. City Centre manager Jim Roddy described Winston Irvine as honest and trustworthy. Trial documents obtained by Belfast Telegraph journalist Sam McBride revealed Jim Roddy and former Methodist Church President Reverend Harold Good had provided a joint written statement of character for Irvine following his arrest in 2022. On to the Nationals now, and the tragic case continues, of course, of Mike Gain. It has been confirmed that the remains that had been found, as they're being described, you have to be sensitive, were that of the missing farmer. So he is officially a victim of a crime, it would seem. But this case is just starting to take the sort of feeling of, you know, Sophie Plantier, Tuscan de Plantier. It just has those kind of hallmarks, you know, whereby there is a crime, there is a suspect. That suspect has been released without charge by Gardaí, but he's speaking to the press, and you know, he seems to be a bit of a character. But all that to one side, we have a grieving family and community that seem some distance away from getting the answers, and it just feels like that Sophie Tuscan de Plantier case and others that we've seen. I hope it's not the case, but it just has that, you know, just has that feeling towards it. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from, but Gardaí have confirmed that the remains found on a Kerry farm are those of missing man Mike Gaines. A Garda spokesperson said they continue to appeal to the public for assistance in the investigation. They said in a statement last night, human remains found at farmland at Carrick East, Kenmare, have been identified as being the remains of Michael Gain. It comes as the Sunday Independent revealed the man arrested on suspicion of the farmer's murder is the subject of a deportation notification. The individual, who described himself as an asylum seeker, was officially notified some time ago. Aged in his 50s, he was arrested and released without charge last week in connection with the investigation into the killing of the missing 56-year-old Kerry farmer over 2 months ago. He denies any involvement and is free to leave Ireland if he wishes. I believe he's originally from the United States. Gardaí cannot rearrest him unless new evidence comes to light. Mr. Gain was reported missing from his home near Kenmare on Friday, March 21st, and his remains have been located and identified following significant searches. And again, even how Mike Gaines' remains were discovered, you know, and the handling of the initial search and what have you, as I say, it just throws up so many answers, and it's a true mystery. Right, now, on to the roads. The Irish Times this morning I don't get. I really don't get. But I believe people must be getting legal advice in this direction, because otherwise, how would so many people know that you can sort of circumvent certain elements of the law? But almost 80% of the almost 3,000 drivers disqualified by the courts in the first 3 months of this year did not have their bans automatically implemented because motorists did not provide their licence with their unique driver number. Minister of State for Transport, Sean Canny, said the department received 2,877 individual court disqualifications orders between January and March 31st, and of those, 2,260, that's 79%, did not have a driver number. In such cases, a manual search is undertaken to attempt to match the record. If this proves unsuccessful, then a shell record is created on the National Vehicle and Driver File, a database containing details of 2.9 million registered vehicles and the names of their owners. So, again, I'll ask, why do so many people know not to submit their driver number? And if you are banned, does that mean that these drivers continue to drive because they still have their license? Whatever it is, there are people who are dangerous drivers remain on the road. And unfortunately, our roads have been incredibly dangerous as of late. 4 women were killed in separate instances on the roads on Saturday. 2 pedestrians, a driver and a cyclist, were tragically killed in counties Tyrone, Clare, Wexford and Meath. This is the Sun. In County Tyrone, a 2-car crash outside Omagh resulted in the death of an 82-year-old woman. Bernadette Cranley from Lifford was driving a silver Toyota Vitz that collided with a blue Suzuki Vitara on the Mellon Road at around 12:30 in the afternoon. The other driver, a woman in her 70s, was taken by ambulance to hospital for treatment of serious injuries. Just 15 minutes later in Clare, a woman in her 70s died after the bike she was riding was hit by a tractor. She was pronounced dead at the scene. It's understood the woman was a visitor from abroad. Then at around 3 p.m. in Wexford, a pedestrian in her 20s was killed in a crash involving a car on the R702 in Enniscorthy. The driver of the car, a man in his 20s, was given medical treatment. And in Meath, 63-year-old Teresa Morgan, originally from Knoll, was killed after she was struck by a car at around 7:10 p.m. I mean, it's so much tragedy and so much loss of the life in the first instances, but also to families and friends and communities. It's incredibly sad. And, overall so far this year, there's been a 40% drop in fatal and serious road traffic collisions, but then such a weekend of carnage. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, and there are fears immigration officials won't be able to perform robust identity checks and security screening on asylum seekers due to the country's lack of access to key EU security databases, a government report has warned. So they know it themselves. So those that are coming into the country, and the numbers have reduced quite significantly, they're checked. People talk about, they're not vetted. Well, that means really their background is checked. But if the government or the state doesn't have access to their background, if the truth be told, then there's no checking, is there? The report on the introduction of the EU Pact on Migration and Asylum is expected to come into force in June of next year. It says Ireland may not be able to carry out the most robust identity validation due to the country's exclusion from the Schengen area and the related IT border security systems under the 1985 Schengen Agreement. Border controls between EU member states on the European mainland were abolished. On to the Irish Daily Star now. And a man has admitted making bogus calls to the emergency services about bodies floating in the sea off our coast here in Donegal. Father of 3, Nathan Coughlin, also admitted breaking into and robbing churches during a crime spree over a 5-year period. The 28-year-old, who has 197 previous convictions, appeared at Letterkenny Circuit Court, where he pled guilty to a raft of charges. The charges relate to 10 different instances, all of which were carried out while Coughlin was either drunk or on drugs. The accused, who is originally from Ennis in Clare, has been in custody at Castlereagh Prison since last October. Sergeant Maurice Doyle and State Prosecutor Fiona Crawford outlined the litany of charges and details of the incidents. In total, the accused was charged with making 3 separate bogus calls to the emergency services, as well as breaking into 4 different church buildings on various dates. Coughlin firstly pled guilty to making a false report at Single Street, Finnabundoran, on November 11th, 2019, that a person was on a cliff in horrendous weather conditions, which sparked a major rescue alert involving the Coast Guard, RNLI Fire Service, Gardaí and the ambulance. And on it goes. There's more that he was responsible for. He's been remanded in custody for final sentence on June 4th. Between robbing churches and taking up emergency services times. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a sentence he faces. And finally, the Tánaiste has warned the US of the negative consequences of imposing tariffs on imported pharmaceutical and microchips. These are obviously big industries for us. They're not big employers. Like about 10% of jobs are in some of these areas, but it's like 40% of tax take. So there's they're skewed to some extent. So whilst if they quit, you could probably absorb the job losses. Hopefully there'd be alternatives. You certainly wouldn't absorb the corporation tax. 40% of our entire take, I believe, comes from companies in this area. Well, Simon Harris has written to US Secretary for Commerce Howard Lutnick following the latter's instigation of 2 investigations examining whether Washington's reliance on foreign imports in those sectors poses a risk to national security. Now, in relation to potential tariffs in those areas, a massive tax plan was passed in the United States recently, and there was not much in that would indicate it's going to happen, but who is to say? All right, that was a run through some of the stories making the papers today. We'll be back with more shortly.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town, they have fantastic packages on full home renovations. Whether you're looking to update your kitchen, bedroom or living room, visit cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Start gently brushing your baby's teeth when their first tooth appears. Use water and a small, soft toothbrush twice a day to keep their teeth and mouth healthy. Visit mychild.ie for advice on pregnancy, baby and toddler health.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney & Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing or voluntary transfer. Call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Fresh deals at Doherty Super Value, Carndonagh. 6-pack Royal Gala apples, avocados and chestnut mushrooms only 79 cents. Asparagus and pineapples €1.49. Plus 3 for €10 on signature taste berries. Real value every time, only at Doherty Super Value, Carndonagh.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
22 minutes past 9. You're very welcome back to the programme. Niall McKenna is chair of A5 Enough is Enough campaign. And of course, Niall and many, many others, not just individuals, but groups, sporting organisations have been campaigning for the progression of the A5. We're speaking in the context of another fatal road traffic collision which took the life, very sadly, of 82-year-old Bernadette Bernie Cranley from Lifford. And I suppose, not wishing to be insensitive, but there's never really a good time to talk about the A5. About the A5, because there are so many fatal or serious collisions on that route. And Niall, both you and I and everyone extend our sympathies to the Cranley family and friends of Bernadette. but it's unfortunately another reminder that we need to progress a new road here just as soon as is possible.
You're quite right, Greg. Our sincerest condolences to the Cranley family, and also our thoughts and prayers to the other lady who's very seriously injured as a result of that accident as well. You're also right in saying that there should be no further evidence required that how dangerous and treacherous this road is and how much it needs to be replaced. It's just death after death, and more families devastated. On average, this road kills somebody every 3 to 4 months. That's the cold, hard statistic on it, and it's awful to be talking, about the issue in terms of statistics, because it is about grief and death and pain.
And it's so dangerous. It can be people that are commuting between one place and another, but we know many families along the A5 themselves, people with an intimate knowledge of it and its dangers, still can succumb to it. That is the type of road that it is. It is just so dangerous.
You are quite literally taking your life in your hands every time you travel along that road. I travel along it daily, and that road will not discriminate in terms of who dies on it. It could be somebody who uses the road very irregularly, or it could be somebody that's on it daily. And that's how ruthless that road can be.
Where are we in terms of the project actually progressing? Because obviously it's been opposed and blocked at many different turns, but where are we at now in terms of a potential start to fixing this road?
Well, very briefly, where the history of it was the scheme was given the go-ahead way back in June 2007 by Stormont, and it has been, the whole scheme has been littered with legal objections by a very, very, very small group of people since, but who have been very effective, which obviously shows some sort of systemic dysfunction in terms of the planning system maybe here. But at the end of last year, in October of last year, the large majority of the scheme was given the go-ahead by the department, and that was the section between Strabane and Ballygolly. Within weeks, the latest objection came in, and there was a court hearing on that in the High Court in Belfast, which concluded on the 2nd of April this year. Now, in the meantime, the scheme has been going ahead. That hasn't been overturned, so people that are travelling along that road will see a lot of earthworks going on at different sections of it. So the scheme is currently progressing, but it is subject to a decision in Belfast. And as I say, that court case finished on the 2nd of April, and the judge is weighing up his decision at the moment, which you would imagine would be coming in the coming weeks or months. That court case, I suppose, which was different from other court cases, was that our group got granted intervener status at that hearing, and you would have seen in the media that the families of the victims got legally represented and got to have their say in court for the first time in nearly 20 years. That was very, very powerful.
Yeah, and we'll see if it sways the judge. I mean, I would be of the view that you do need systems in place, that we have controlled development, that people have a right to appeal, but there does come a point in terms of, I suppose, developments of such significance, and then obviously what they're replacing, roads that have cost so many lives and left so many people injured. There has to be a system whereby they can't be frustrated at every turn by the planning system, be it in Northern Ireland, be it in the Republic, be it wherever it might be.
You're quite right. Look, any normal democracy will allow an appeals process for any sort of decision making, but what you see in the north particularly is in these large capital projects, the system does not allow them to go through. So you can see it in the A5, you can see it in other situations, maybe like Casement Park or things like that there, where a very, very small group of people can thwart, the large majority, and that's not right.
So just so to recap where we're at then, if this court case does not find in favour of the objectors, we are now at a point where the A5 that we've been talking about now for generations is progressing.
It is currently progressing. Yes, the contractors are on site on the majority of the sections. As I say, the go ahead has already been given from Ballygolly to Strabane, and that's the majority of the road. Obviously, then you would hope later on that the other two sections, which is south of Ballygolly to join the border at Auchnacloy, that would hopefully go ahead whenever there's the scheme obviously been developed in Monaghan for the M2 upgrade. And then obviously the most northern scheme hopefully would progress after that as well. So yes, the work is currently ongoing, but there is a court determination coming in the coming weeks.
Right, okay. We'll watch that with a great deal of interest. Niall McKenna, thank you very much indeed. Niall is chair of the A5 Enough is Enough campaign. A caller says, unfortunately, the A5 does not discriminate, which was words you heard directly from Niall there as well. This caller says, I rarely use it and I'm very nervous when on it. People drive so fast on it, one of Europe's worst roads. And obviously speed is a factor, and, you know, driver behaviour is a factor, vehicle condition is a factor, but the road condition is also a factor in road traffic collisions. And some roads are so dangerous, even if you drive carefully, you still are at a threat. And the A5 definitely falls into that category. We were speaking on Friday about traffic and a few comments here for you. Margaret was on with us, by the way. She talked about trying to cross the road in Buncrana. There are crossings there, but the traffic does not seem to adhere to them. She's had numerous near misses. Re-traffic in Buncrana. Margaret's right about pedestrians trying to cross the road at SuperValue. On entry to SuperValue, there is traffic lights plus a yellow box. On exit, there's the traffic lights plus another yellow box. A nightmare even for drivers. They would need to make an inside road to access same. Thank you. Please ask any word of the bypass of Snarler and Ballybofey, which would make the journey better through to the south of the county. Well, it's part of the 10T. So you've got the Letterkenny Relief and you've got the road then to the border, which would link into the A5. So all of this is actually somewhat connected. And part of that is the Ballybofey and Snarler bypass. And those, they are progressing all the while. We still don't really have a start date, but the process of getting to that point continues. It's a slow process. We heard about planning and what have you, but you do have to respect homeowners and landowners. But there comes a point with the A5 where there's something else going on. Things are moving relatively smoothly, I understand, in relation to acquisitions and negotiations with landowners and homeowners as it relates to the 10T project as a whole. Kilmacrennan Village is an area that is an accident waiting to happen. Traffic speeds through the town. No point in talking about signs because no one pays any attention to them. We need a speed van on a regular basis sitting in the village to slow down traffic. And it's not just an accident waiting to happen. It's a place where accidents happen all the time. Its speed limit will be reduced significantly as part of the review that's going on at the moment. I can't imagine it won't. But will that matter without a level of enforcement? We'll have to wait and see. Why is there never any word about school cleaners? I clean a school myself and we are never given enough hours to clean the school. Are any other school cleaners experiencing the same issue? This is in the context of the treatment of secretaries and caretakers in schools. The last time we mentioned this, and it does come up, the situation, like cleaners are a little bit different, aren't they? They're probably commissioned by the school, are they? And aren't necessarily on site as much as caretakers and secretaries, so I'm not sure if they'll ever be sort of lumped with them in the ongoing negotiations. Probably not unionised either, I don't know. But this caller says we're never given enough hours to clean the school. I was in hospital recently visiting a 90-plus-year-old woman who has cancer. She was given 3 x-rays, which her family and her asked not to happen, but they insisted on doing them. She herself accepts that she is at end-of-life care. Then we wonder why people are waiting on scans when unnecessary scans like this are happening. She asked for a priest and was told the priest only attends on certain days unless it is an emergency. What's wrong with the world? That's a toughie. That kind of is a tough one for me because unfortunately speaking to some people as it relates to the hospital, there is a concern that maybe the level of care can taper off the older you get, if that makes sense. But the medical teams here were of the medical view that these x-rays were necessary. I'm not sure I'm really not sure of the legalities of them sort of accepting what this lady or her family might say. That's a very complicated situation on a number of levels. A caller says, my son has never been in a fight in his life. He was out about 8 weeks ago in Letterkenny and 3 people attacked him in a club. He was badly traumatised. He had a big bruise to his forehead. All the inside of his mouth was bloodied and his nose bleeding. Just another one for the record. I think they're suggesting that those 3 who may have been responsible for that might have been not originally from Letterkenny. Last one just before a break. Standing on the stone-aged terrace of McCool Park on Saturday, getting drowned and €20 for the pleasure. In our county ground, young and old getting soaked. Surely it's time the GEA put some money into McCool Park, both on and off the pitch, and bring it into this century. It is the county ground, and I know McCool's GEA club are very proud of it. I'm not sure if they have any plans to update it, but would you be in favour of that? I mean, obviously, on a glorious sunny day, it's not as big an issue, is it? But on Saturday, it was tipping it down, and everyone was exposed to that. Probably not everyone brought the appropriate clothing. Would you welcome further investment in McCool Park in that regard? Let us know. 086 60 25,000. And of course, Brendan Devaney will be joining us a little later on. We will reflect on Donegal v Tyrone, Derry versus Armagh, and other GEA matters. A lot of club action ongoing at the moment as well. That's coming up after 11 o'clock.
Bring your dream kitchen to life with Cherrymore. Discover functional, beautiful designs with a wide range of colours and styles to suit any project. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Make more meals for less with Dunnes Stores, where you'll save on ingredients to make delicious hot dogs. That's an 8-pack of Irish pork sausages, just €1. Cooked in a pan before serving in buns, 6 for just €1.10. Delicious with your favourite toppings. All from the Dunnes Stores range. Plus, you can save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Thank you for attending this meditation session for badgers who forgot to check for gas pipes before digging, without knowing how disruptive it could be. Putting others at risk and doing it unknowingly for all their working life. And it could have been avoided had they just checked in the first place. Let's begin.
Always check for gas pipelines before you break ground. Visit gasnetworks.ie/dig for more information.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Ready to transform your smile? Discover the magic of Blue Poppy Dental in Letterkenny and Donegal Town. With implantologists, surgical and cosmetic dentists, orthodontists and an endodontist all under one roof, we've got all your dental needs covered. Starting your journey is easy. Call us on 074 91 20355 or book your appointment online anytime through our user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, where smiles shine brighter.
Step out of the ordinary and into the new Lexus LBX, because this is the luxury compact SUV reimagined in every detail, where style, elegance and innovation define a new kind of driving experience. It's your world. Make it extraordinary. Experience the new LBX Hybrid at your Lexus retailer, available with a range of flexible payment options. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Your local dealer is Lexus Letterkenny.
Now, we saw the figures last week that showed €1.5 million was raised in speeding fines in Donegal since 2019. And I suppose this opens up a number of questions or talking points. One being, that's a lot of money, a lot of detections, but also a lot of speeding, because obviously, you know, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Councillor Jerry McMonagle is former chair of the now disbanded Joint Policing Committee and joins us on the line now. Councillor McMonagle, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. So, quite a lot of detections, 2,698 people caught speeding, and a significant chunk of those in the first 2 or 3 months of this year as well. What's your reaction to figures like these?
Well, look, you can have two reactions, and there's obviously a lot more detection of speeding, but there doesn't seem to be any prevention of it. And that would worry me, and it certainly worries a lot of other people. If we look even at the amount of fatalities we've had on Irish roads since 2019, like it's almost 1,000 people have lost their lives, and 6,000 or more with serious injuries, and yet people are still speeding. And the detection rate, the amount of money that's been raised, 1.5 million in Donegal alone. I mean, it beggars belief that people, despite everything that we're trying to do, despite the extra detection, speed vans, the static speed cameras, that people are still not listening and not taking due vigilance of the speed limits and are continuing to speed. And unfortunately, this leads to fatalities and serious injuries, as the statistics would show.
Yeah, and just to clarify the figures there, 15,150 fixed charge notices since 2019. In the first 5 months of this year, 2,698. I know, speaking to Gardaí off the record and on the record, in fact, and you would know too, Councillor, they're pulling their hair out. How do they get the message through? Because they're out and about, be it speed vans or not, catching people. We seem to see an increase too, or we're seeming to see an increase in drug and drink driving detections. You know, what else can be done? I wonder what else can be done, because messaging in and of itself, and even punishment, because we can see from these stats, is not driving the speeds down.
No, because you get €160 fine now, you get 3 penalty points. I mean, if that's not a deterrent in itself. But look, I think we may have to rewind a bit. I think it's about when people are leaving school, the transition year, the last year of school. They're starting to learn to drive. Some of them actually have passed their test and they're still at school. But we need to be educating people more at that time of their life about the rules of the road, about the dangers of speeding, and how that you can, drive sensibly on the road, drive free of drink or drugs, and to keep the speed limits. Like we're currently doing a speed limit review across the county. We're reducing speed on some roads and leaving it as it is in others. But I mean, this is going to be futile if people don't adhere to the new speed limits that come in.
Well, using Kilmacrennan as an example, I mean, people see that as an accident black spot or a collision black spot, and it is. And that is probably going to be one of the towns or villages, however it's described, that will see the significant reduction in speed. But the public don't have faith in that, I don't think, because unless there is enforcement, like they're crying out for either a speed van or occasional, mobile speed checks by An Garda Síochána. We'll get to the education bit in a moment. Sorry, Jerry, I know you wanted to speak about that. But, unless people feel there is a possibility that they could be done, people just drive the way they wish, it seems. A lot of people.
Yeah, no, and I agree 100% with you there, Greg. And you have to ask, where has the 1.5 million that was raised in speeding fines, where has it gone to? It certainly hasn't gone to bolster the Gardaí traffic unit to make them more visible, as you say, to be seen more on the road. I think that's the biggest deterrent. The speed vans, the static cameras, they're okay for a while, but people get used to where they park and they slow down and then they take off again after they pass them. Whereas if you had more mobile patrols, more checkpoints, more speed traps by the Gardaí who just can turn up here and there, different places, then I think we need to invest in that. And I wonder where the 1.5 million that was accrued in Donegal, where did that go? Did that go to the Gardaí to help them try and combat speeding motorists? I would doubt it very much.
And another thing that sort of maybe points to our attitudes to sort of roads and enforcement, stats out this morning show that, around about 3,000 people were banned from driving. 80% of them didn't, even though they're required to or requested to, did not submit their driver number. So 80% of them still could be out on the road. The insurance companies don't know they're banned per se. And 8 out of 10 people know that if they don't submit their license or their driver number once they've received a ban, really until such time as they might be tracked down, they can continue to drive. So, I don't know what, you'd have to be pretty, you'd have to have done something pretty serious to get banned from driving. Yet 8 out of 10 people know you can sort of get away with that if you just don't give the state your driver's number. I think that's bizarre.
Yeah, and I know now insurance companies are looking for that now when you're insuring your car. But I mean, if you're banned, one of the things that you must do is, and it would be an offence. It should be an offence if you don't do, and that's hand in your.
But
your
how do
driving
8 out
licence.
of 10 of 3,000 motorists know that it's okay not to do that with very little consequence? That's the thing. Are they being advised that by their legal teams, for an example?
Well, I don't know about that, and I couldn't comment. But they're obviously being advised by somebody, or they've seen friends or whatever doing the same thing. But here's the point, Greg. If you're done with drink driving, there's obviously a guard involved, and they prosecute you and they give evidence at the court in the day. You're in the court. The guard who's responsible for you bringing you before the court is there. The judge is there. How can people walk out of the court without surrendering their driving license? It has to be made an offence. It has to be made an offence, but for that to be 100% into your day,
See, unless I was assured it wasn't, I'd be afraid of the guards knocking at my door and taking me away. You know what I mean? Because I'm not privy to how so many people know that you just simply don't have to. Education. Is education an element to this? I think you were about to move on to that.
I think it is, Greg. I think it is. Look, if we learned anything from educating young people, we only have look at the whole healthy eating, going into schools and what you can eat and what you can't eat, what's the best healthy food they bring. Children go home, then they tell their parents, "Oh, don't put that. I'm not allowed that. And apples or yogurt, whatever." I think when young people are getting to the age, the transition year age, when they're thinking about getting their own car, getting driving lessons, that's I think when a subject should be there to regularly teach them and educate them as to the rules of the road. And look, we have some good roads and we have some not so bad roads. I don't know if the driving test and the 12 lessons covers a lot of that, but once they get the pass certificate, then they're all on their own. Then away they go. They have an end up for a year or whatever. But I think if we educate them as they're going into that process, we teach it at schools. We do bring in Gardaí, bring in the RSA, do what they've doing great work in the aura and bringing in people unfortunately have been seriously injured in road fatalities and telling their story and how does it affect their life. That has a massive impact on them young people.
I wonder how
but
long
I
it
think we
sticks.
need to take it into the school as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I do wonder about the RSA, though, because one of their proposals that emerged over the weekend was that motorway driving would form part of the driving test. Now, we have thousands of people here waiting on a driving test. If you were able to apply for a driving test today, you won't really most likely get to do that until 2026, the start of 2026, looking at the most recent figures. But how in God's name would you introduce motorway driving as part of the test in County Donegal? Do you know what I mean? In any coverage I saw, it wasn't even factored in. It just makes you wonder how much the powers that be really know about the roads network in this country. Sorry.
Yeah, look, and let's face it. If we were a young person out doing their lessons, and were to get motorway training, they'd have to drive hundreds of kilometres to get a motorway. We have to be real here. People don't understand or see. While the motorways are there, there's not as many fatalities on motorways as what there is on the other roads. And that's what we need to focus on. We need to make the roads that we have in each county off the main primary routes better. We have to make them safer. But we also have to educate people as to how they drive them. And they have to drive within the speed limits.
Yeah.
The speed limit's there for a reason. It's to protect them and other road users. And until we get that into people's heads, We can lift all the money we can. We can give out all the penalty points we can. If we don't change the mindset, we're not going to change anything.
And it is our mindset. It's my mindset. It's yours. It's everyone listening to this, or their sons and daughters. Like, it is us, and we're discussing what we feel the state should do to sort of tell us what to do. We have the power ourselves to think twice, but we don't. Most of us do, but many of us don't. Okay, interesting conversation. Thank you for that. That's Councillor Jay McMonagle there. Just off the back of those figures, and I believe, just to be fair, I think it was the Donegal News that obtained these figures through Freedom of Information, which is it's a bit of a task in itself, so fair play to them and credit where it is due. So 1.5 million collected in revenue since 2019, and that is from 15,150 fixed charge notices being issued. And more concerningly, the busiest period is the most recent. In the first 5 months of this year, up until May 13th, 2,698 fixed charge notices. That's just in this county alone, generating over 250,000 in revenue. What's your views on that? 086 60 25,000. Right. Caller says people are driving far too fast. That's why there are so many collisions on our roads. Back roads are especially bad. People drive too fast and take corners hard. We're in such a rush to get everywhere. 3 months ago, I was going to Letterkenny. I go 3 times a week from Buncrana. I drive around 90 kilometres per hour. I went to pass a car doing 75. I was speeding just past him. I got caught by the static camera. The safest thing for me to do was pass this driver out. I didn't know that I was speeding until I received the letter in the post. I don't think it's fair that speeding by 12 kilometres and 60 kilometres deserves the same fine as a higher speed being more dangerous. Yeah, I mean, maybe too, fines could be leveraged against your income. Higher, if you've higher income, higher fines. They do that in other countries. I think a road safety campaigner might not have much sympathy for you because, if you're overtaking someone who's doing 75 and you exceed 100 on that stretch, which unfortunately has seen, an awful lot of collisions, they might say the safest thing to do is sit behind that driver until it's they pull off the road or it's safer to pass. I don't know. I'm not being judgy. I'm not that type of person. But I'm not sure road safety campaigners would sympathise with you. I'm sorry you got the fine and the penalty points, though. All right, back with more after these.
With 29 years of experience, Cherrymore is trusted across Ireland for exceptional quality and service. Let their expert team guide you from concept to completion. Cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Fly EasyJet from City of Derry Airport to Edinburgh, Liverpool, or now from the 1st of September, Birmingham. Book now at easyjet.com. Get out there.
Get your home and garden summer ready with Watson Hire in Letterkenny. From lawnmowers to strimmers and compost to lawnmowers, they have everything you need to tidy, clean and green your space. If you're painting, inside or out, choose the best value paint in Donegal from top names like Fleetwood and Johnson's. Watson Hire, open 6 days a week at Lisnen and Letterkenny with great deals to have your home and garden looking their best. See watsonhire.ie.
Go electric during our 252 event and discover our full range of rewired iconic Ford cars, including the all-electric Explorer, the all-new Capri, and the Puma has gone fully electric, starting from €29,900. Ford have gone electric. Ireland is going electric. So what's stopping you? Go electric. Book your test drive at Ford.ie. Offer ends 15th of June. Price includes grant and BRT relief and excludes delivery and related charges. T's and C's apply.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House, Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €2,100 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House bingo tonight at 8:30.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
Try more alfresco flavours for less with Lidl Plus. Cue the barbecue with fish, Board B approved meats or poultry, 3 for €9. Serve the Spud-tacular with deluxe baby potatoes, 43% off now 79 cent. Scan your Lidl Plus app and enjoy more for less when you go full Lidl this summer.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, let us have a look at that weather forecast now. And it's going to be unsettled for this week and through next weekend, unfortunately. That I do know, but I'll get you the specific weather forecast right now, if it'll open for me. Right, so today then, scattered showers and some sunny spells at first, but becoming cloudy and wet with outbreaks of rain moving eastwards through the day. The rain will turn heavy at times during the late afternoon and evening. Temperatures of 12 to 15 degrees and a moderate to fresh southwest to west wind, becoming strong at times, so keep an eye out for that. Right, now, MEP for Ireland South, Cynthia Niwerku, I hope joins me now. Good morning, Cynthia.
Hi, Greg. Kechwiltu, Tommy and Show.
Thank you so much for joining us, and Majin White, it's great to have you with us. Right, okay, you've been running through the figures in terms of network outages, in terms of the ESB, and it's a worsening situation, is it?
Certainly is. A 22% spike in power outages nationally. That's over a 4-year period, Greg, that I got the figures for on foot of an FOI request, Freedom of Information. So the years in question, to explain to your listeners, was 2021 to 2024. So between 2021 and 22, there was a jump of a 7.7 increase in outages. Then there was a slight decrease in that between 22 and 23, those 2 years. The jump was 6.3. But wait for it, Greg. There was a whopping jump between 23 and 24, those 2 years, and that jump was by 22%.
How much of that do you think can we put down to the network itself and its resilience and weather? Or maybe they're both one and the same?
Yes. Well, a lot of reasons are given by ESB networks who look after this for everybody. And most of the reasons are not for upgrades, and they include things like bad weather events and storms and bird strikes and lightning and all those things that we'd be, used to hearing. Yeah. But concerningly enough now to me is that some of the reasons that were furnished to me on foot of this request were defective equipment. So we're looking at the reason for power cuts. It went from, wait for this, Greg, 2,536 power cuts caused by defective equipment in 2022. And that jumped from just 2,500, say, to 23,000 power cuts caused by defective equipment in 2024. So clearly this is a cause for concern. We're talking about rot and corrosion. We're talking about lack of investment into the infrastructure. If lines are corroding, or poles, or any of the other substructure around it, or structure around it. And also, another reason given, Greg, was unknown. Just the word unknown reasons. Now, I find that deeply troubling as to why the ESB wouldn't know what caused a power cut.
Yeah, and just to give some Donegal figures here, which you've gathered together, Letterkenny had 2,258 power cuts last year, compared to 1,354 in 2021. And in Killybegs, now these aren't specific to these towns, these are areas that serve a greater area as well. I presume the constant outages in Milford would be counted in Letterkenny, for an example. In Letterkenny in 2021, 1,156 in Killybegs, in 2024, 2,042. Now, there's a lot going on here because this is disruptive to people's lives and business and schools, people being sent home from childcare. It is impactful. It's not just a minor inconvenience.
Well, Greg, I don't know about you, but I know for me, electricity is a lifeline. Let's face it, everything is chargeable now from a consumer point of view and from, I suppose, regularly running a household. But think of the businesses, think of the hospitals, think of the caring services and every other type of service, whether it's schools or hospitals or fire stations or Garda stations or all of these public services. Unfortunately, we are completely reliant on electricity, and whilst we move to a greener form of electricity and so forth, and that's wonderful, we have what we have right now. And to look at that percentage increase, I know you quoted the figures, but look at the increase in Letterkenny. It recorded a whopping 44% increase in power cuts between 2023 and 24, and look at Killybegs, a 61% whopping increase between those 2 years. But by comparison, when you compare it to Dublin South or when you compare it to Dublin North, Dublin South had an increase of 11.4%, far less. Dublin North, 23%, far less. So it seems to me that this is adversely affecting rural Ireland. I'm speaking now between Donegal and Dublin, but I could go through all of the other
I know,
rural
and
counties.
we listen. We're on the West Coast. We know what bad weather's like. We would expect the network to be more resilient, obviously, because of the pressures on it. Unfortunately, time has caught up with us. Interesting figures. Thanks so much, Cynthia. That's Cynthia Newarku, MEP for Ireland South. I'll talk through those again after we come back after the news at 10.
Need some inspiration for your home renovation? Explore Cherrymore's kitchen and bedroom collections and create a space as unique as you. Book your design appointment today at cherrymore.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Meet Mike. He's here to tell you why you should switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance.
Hi, I'm Mike from County Kerry. I made the switch to Outsurance and saved €143. I'm also on my way to getting 10% cash back with their out bonus.
Like the sound of that? For a competitive car insurance quote like Mike's, call 1-800 600 400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Householders and building owners in areas susceptible to wildfires are advised to cut back or remove any vegetation or other combustible material in the vicinity of their house, building or oil tank to prevent wildfires damaging or destroying their property. Cleared areas should be maintained free of vegetation and combustible material. Donegal County Council would also like to remind landowners and members of the public that under the Wildlife Acts 1976 and 2000, it is an offence to cut, grub, burn or otherwise destroy any vegetation growing on any land not then cultivated between the 1st day of March and the 31st day of August in any year. Members of the public are also reminded that the burning of domestic, industrial, agricultural and construction waste is an offence under the Waste Management Act 1996. Donegal County Council, protecting your environment.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Police in Tyrone have renewed their appeal for information following the death of a Donegal woman in a two-car collision close to the Ulster American Folk Park outside Omagh on Saturday afternoon. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
82-year-old Bernie Cranley from Lifford was killed in the collision on the A5 Mellon Road between Omagh and Newton Stewart at around 12:30. She was the driver of a silver Toyota Vitz which collided with a blue Suzuki Vitara. The other driver, a woman in her 70s, was taken to hospital by ambulance for treatment of serious injuries. Police say their inquiries into the circumstances of the collision are continuing and they're anxious to hear from witnesses or anyone who may have dashcam footage from around that time. In a statement, West Tyrone MLA Daniel McCrossan said he was heartbroken to hear of another life lost on the A5.
On today's 9 till noon show, A5 Enough is Enough campaign chair Niall McKenna spoke to Greg Hughes.
Our sincerest condolences to the Cranley family and also our thoughts and prayers to the other lady who's very seriously injured as a result of that accident as well. There should be no further evidence required that how dangerous and treacherous this road is and how much it needs to be replaced. On average, this road kills somebody every 3 to 4 months. You know, that's the cold, hard statistic on it, and it's awful to be talking about the issue in terms of statistics because it is about grief and death and pain.
An Irish MEP is calling for a clear explanation from ESB Networks as to why there's been a significant increase in power cuts across the country, and particularly in Donegal, where the increase is considerably higher than the national average of 22% between 2023 and 2024. According to figures received by Cynthia Newarku between those 2 years, the Letterkenny area recorded a 44% increase in power cuts, while the Killybegs area recorded one of the highest increase in power cuts in the country at 61%. A discussion continuing on the show with Greg. Donald Trump will delay his 50% tariffs on European imports until early July. The measure was due to begin this coming Sunday after he changed the start date last week. However, the US president is now putting it back to the date he'd originally announced. The junior minister for European Affairs, Thomas Byrne, says a phone call between Donald Trump and the European Commission president yesterday afternoon was important.
Because I don't think they've had a one-on-one call up to now. She may have been on another call with other leaders. So that's very, very important because that relationship is really, really important. Commissioner Sefcovic and the US Commerce Secretary and the Trade Representative are discussing these things. But ultimately, if there's any problems or indeed at the end of the day, these issues go to leaders. And I think it is important that the leaders have a working relationship.
A report published today expects a slowdown in global and Irish growth in 2025 and 2026. Consumer spending and business investment growth are both expected to cool in Ireland this year. That's according to AIB's Economic Outlook report. It comes as international volatility remains high. AIB chief economist David McNamara says there are a number of factors at play.
So we're expecting our preferred measure of growth, modified domestic demand, to slow to about 2.5% this year and 2% in 2026. So that compares to about a 3% pace of growth at present. And really it's driven by a couple of factors: weaker business investment in the face of uncertainty, but continued growth, but also a more cautious outlook for consumer spending, with households likely to save a little bit more rather than increase their spending.
Medics say an Israeli airstrike on a school-turned-shelter in northern Gaza has killed 31 people. Israel's military insists it targeted a Hamas control centre embedded in the area, and they say steps were taken to mitigate the risk of harming civilians. Sky's Middle East correspondent Alistair Bunkall has been hearing from sources at the scene.
At least 3 of the classrooms were infernos, engulfed in flames. I've seen pictures and video of charred bodies coming out. It is an indescribable situation.
And Gardaí in Donegal have issued fresh road safety advice this morning as a result of current weather conditions. They say unsettled conditions over the coming days will lead to difficult driving situations, and motorists need to be aware of that and to exercise extreme caution. With more, here's Katie Gillen.
Gardaí say during a spell of dry weather, materials such as oil and rubber from tyres are not washed away, causing them to accumulate on the road surface. When it rains after a dry spell, this accumulated residue mixes with the rainwater, forming a slick and greasy layer on the road. This in turn reduces the friction between the tyres and the road, making it easier for wheels to lose traction and potentially leading to skidding or loss of control. Gardaí are asking motorists to regularly check tyres, and even more regularly when the tread depth reaches 3mm. The legal minimum tread depth is 1.6mm. The more worn your tyres become, the less grip they will have on the road surface. They are also urging drivers to slow down and be cautious.
Scattered showers and some sunny spells at first today, but becoming cloudy and wet with outbreaks of rain moving eastward through the day. That rain turning heavy at times, particularly in the late afternoon and evening. Top temperatures 12 to 15 degrees Celsius. Moderate to fresh southwest to west winds, becoming strong at times. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11. Check all the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 26th of May. The death has taken place of Paddy McLaughlin, Phil Dara, Temple Moyle, Cooldaff. Paddy's remains are reposing at his home. Funeral from there on Wednesday afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock funeral mass in St Patrick's Church, Ahoclay, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. The death has occurred of Bridget Ewing, née Scanlon, 29, The Curragh, Killygordon, reposing at her late residence from 7 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish YouTube channel. The house is private please to family, neighbours and close friends. Donations in lieu if desired to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, either directly or care of any family member. The death has taken place of Ciarán Gillen, Church Road, Carndonagh. Ciarán's remains will arrive at the Muff border at approximately 8 o'clock this evening, continuing on to the family home at Church Road, Carndonagh, reposing until 10 o'clock this evening, and again tomorrow from 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. The family home is private please on the morning of the funeral. The funeral mass can be viewed on carndonaparish.com. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, Donegal branch, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, funeral director. The sudden death has taken place in Spain of Terry Ponsonby, Rylands House, Lismohry, St Johnson. Terry's remains will repose at his late residence today from 12 noon until 10 p.m, with rosary at 9. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny. That can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in New Leck Cemetery. House private please before the funeral tomorrow. The death has taken place of Peter Doherty, 1B, Glen Road, Strabane. Funeral from there this morning at 11:20 for Requiem Mass in Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has taken place of Delma Spence, née Lynch, 33, Castlefin Park, Castlederg. Funeral from her home this morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Patrick's Church, Castlederg. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. House private please before the funeral. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Aidan's just missed the ice cream van and can hear the song fade into the distance. But it's no bother, as Mam stocked up for summer with Aldi's specially selected luxury Irish ice cream, Madagascan vanilla, for only $2.99. He's also been treated to delicious 100% Irish fresh strawberries. Ooh! New season, Board Bia quality assured, and only $2.65. The ice cream van's nothing but a distant memory. Good food, good mood, from Aldi. While stocks last.
Welcome back to the second hour of this Monday's 9 till noon show. How you're keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. Good morning to Winifred Dahy, Kathy and Audrey. They're watching the show on a mixture of our Facebook and YouTube pages. Just to remind you, you can watch us wherever you are, including on your big telly at home, Smart TV Fire Stick, on the YouTube channel Highland Radio Ireland. We're on Facebook, Highland Hub, and where else? X at, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, search Highland Radio. There's not many others called Highland Radio streaming live. Right, a caller says, I think it's disgraceful that cars are lowered and specced out. How are engines allowed to be modified? Until this changes, there'll be more deaths on our roads. I mean, that can be a contributing factor, but it's not the silver bullet, so to speak. Honestly, I think the only time there'll be no deaths on the road is when driving's autonomized, to be honest with you. Greg, the car I drive is not new, but when you come to a slower speed limit, the car makes a beep noise to warn me to slow down. I'm going too fast. So the technology is there to make the car itself slow down. No one wants this to happen. It's all about money, collection, a tax if you want. But if they surveyed people, right, if they surveyed the population, let's say we had a referendum, and the referendum was, should all cars be limited to 100 kilometres per hour, maximum speed? Should all brake horsepower be limited to 115? The majority of people would vote against it. Even in the context of a conversation about safe driving, would the majority, well, I'm guessing, but would the majority not vote against it? We recognise the problem, but we don't want to change our behaviour, and we don't want our cars fiddled with. I mean, really, why is every 17 to 25-year-old not in a car that has a black box for monitoring driving behaviour that's linked to their insurance? Why not? You know, the insurance would be much cheaper, and for that period of time, driving behaviour would change. I mean, it should be a non-brainer. I am not saying that that's the only age category responsible, but they are incredibly overrepresented. So it's great to have your vehicle. You'd have your independence. You can go meet your girlfriend. You know, you can go to the cinema. You can go to work. You just have to do so within the speed limit. That would be the only proviso. You have to do it within the speed limit. That's what a black box would make sure you do. Because if you didn't, you'd get a text or an email from your insurance company in advising you went over the speed limit. So should that be a non-brainer? I mean, I'm saying that now as someone it wouldn't affect. So it's easy for me to say that. But what do we do? Do we just accept it and keep talking about it? Or do we start discussing things that might actually have some sort of a meaningful impact? It means, a fella driving home or a girl driving home from a pub at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock as the designated driver, and 3 or 4 people land in the car. They'd be far less likely to speed around a corner. That would result in a multi-occupancy fatal crash. Should we not be saying, right, we need to get on this straight away? I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying, in reality, there are solutions, but we would resist them. Good morning. Just wondering how many of the people were caught outside the town limits where the collisions are happening. They say, and, I'm not doing the GoSafe's work, they say the vans are only located where there's been a serious or fatal collision. On the matter of road safety, says another caller, did anyone see the carry-on Friday night in Manor Cunningham around 11 p.m? 2 sides of the road lined with cars, spectators and cars diffing in the middle of that busy road. So dangerous. That is an every weekend thing now. Send us the videos if you have them. I'm sure they're there. This is seems like a spontaneous diffing competition in Manor Cunningham. They seem to have also taken over the road. Let us know. Put it down to parts of the grid having to be turned off. This is the power outages. Put it down to parts of the grid having to be turned off when industrial wind turbines have to be turned off due to high winds, but the ESB will never admit to that. Maybe that's in the unknown category. We do know the reasons for the majority of the outages. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. On road safety, I travel the A5 4 days a week. The drivers are the issue, not the road, especially drivers from Donegal. Some of the sites you see are ridiculous. Morning, Highland. I had an early NCT test, and while I was waiting, names were called out but didn't turn up for their tests yet. I've been one of those soldiers. I think I was due in there on May 12th. But for reasons outside of my control, I couldn't get the car there. And 80 quid come out of my account for reasons I know. So I didn't turn up, but I paid for the test. And the way the system they have it now, that you log as you go in, so they bring tests forward, so it doesn't inconvenience anyone unless you tried to book a test, and of course there's no spaces available because someone like me couldn't go. But there's a financial penalty, and it was for good reason. New 60-kilometre speed limits on the Clay side of Newtown Cunningham. Nobody paying any heed to it. Well, that's it too, you see. But it will change the driving behaviour of some. MEP Cynthia is correct. The last 2 years have seen power outages become very regular. No reason, no bad weather, just out of the blue and at any time of the day. No explanation. And the costs just keep going up and up and up. Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? The price of the service is going up and the quality of the service is going down. Hi, Greg. Would a park and ride facility at each entry point to Letterkenny work? Have a shuttle bus service into the centre, the ATU, the hospital, and have bike rental schemes available at park and ride facilities. This could help to reduce traffic going into town. Possibly, yeah, it definitely would be part of the solution, and I would say actually really it's part of the plan. The problem is you are kind of forced to go through Letterkenny even if you don't need to go to Letterkenny. Letterkenny is great to visit, but if you're going to the Fanad Peninsula, or if you're going to Dunlow or Burton Port, or depending on where you're coming from, Glentees, you have to go through Letterkenny. I mean, you don't have to. You could take a longer route, head south of the county, right? But the problem is the traffic that has to go through Letterkenny that doesn't want to be there, I think. But also, anything that makes traffic move more freely, like your suggestion, would be very good. We were talking about holiday homes last week, and it's not that I'm trying to drag this into a second week, but so many of you took the time to text. I want to give you a sample of those. Just to recap, a Mayo County Council official initially sent out an internal email calling for a boycott of holiday home owners. Turn your backs on them, effectively. Refuse to engage. Mayo County Council said that's not the view of the council. And then the conversation raged around the country. This caller says, I live in Buncrana. Besides me, there are 3 houses lying derelict for over 30 years in St. Agnes Terrace. We've been on to the council about compulsory purchase. Apparently the deeds can't be found. How would this stop the purchase? Something should be done about this. Another caller says, private property is private property. Just listening to Micheál Colm, who didn't agree necessarily with the proposals, but would be a communist, a self-declared communist, I believe that's the phraseology, who believes, I think, that, wealth or property could be distributed for the benefit of the state. But anyway, The caller says everything he said is ridiculous and can be blamed on government policy. Imagine they actually planned a referendum on housing to delimit the right to private property. Micheál would be jumping with glee. That was there was people before Profit floated that. The government shut it down, but for some reason in certain sections of social media they attribute that to the government. It wasn't the government, it was people before Profit wanted that. Micheál is delusional. He's living in the past, certainly not the West Donegal of today. What's his views on the books making millions from my past centres? Is the Chancellor suggesting compulsory purchasing? Jerry Adams' house, or Stephen Ree, or Carrie Bradshaw? What nonsense. Let him blame government for the housing crisis, not holidaymakers. He's jealous. I don't think he's jealous because he talked of selling property of his own on which a holiday home was built. Micheál has a point, but we have to look at the planning. It's planning that is to blame. In my town, a local girl was refused planning for a house to live in. She sold the site out of frustration and moved to America. Wait till you hear this. A contractor came in and built 3 holiday homes on it with no issue with planning. This county, it makes no sense. Last one before the break in relation to the holiday homes. Landlords hesitate to rent to families long term or even the short term. The reason for this is that if a tenant stops paying rent, it's a long road in order to evict the tenant or to get the rent. I appreciate that both the landlord and tenants have rights, which is only right. However, more landlords express the difficulty in getting tenants out of their property when they either want to sell or a family member to move in. So I can definitely relate to why students and holiday homes appeal to landlords, guaranteed payment and they all move on. Perhaps if there was more protection for the landlords, the rental market would not be experiencing the current shortages. But also this Mayo official, it's not just landlords who are doing Airbnb in holiday areas. It's actually people living in the holiday homes for a couple of weeks a year or however long they live in them. So it's not just landlords, it was anyone with a holiday home. And yeah, you're right. I think that's why a lot of people have gone into short letting, not just here. Spain's got a big problem with short letting, Portugal and other sort of areas where tourists go. It's handier. Some would say it's not handier. But if you're in the right place, and if you're organised, it's handier. It's bigger bucks for shorter periods of time, and you don't have the issue of people making a mess of your home and trying to get them out and struggling to do so. It's a complex old space. The bottom line is you need more social housing and you need more affordable housing. And if you have that, but the problem is we have infrastructural issues. But if you have that, the demand then is eased. You know, and then people can do whatever they want with their houses, I think. All right, let's take a break.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, the 26th of May. You're playing on the green sheet for the daily prize of €2,200. The reference number is S6. It's game number 22. The numbers are 64, 19, 18, 33, 34, 75, 23, 69, 70, and finally 4. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones in our advanced range that use AI to make speech sound clearer, and they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today, because OK Hearing is not OK. Terms and conditions apply.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
Jace Medical is now open in Letterkenny, offering expert-led medical assessments and diagnosis in a modern private healthcare setting. Fast appointments, trusted care, and a clinic designed around you. Book today at jacemedical.ie. Jace Medical. Informed health, empowered life.
Whether it's muddy boots or outdoor gear, Cherrymore's premium kitchen and storage solutions bring style and function to your boot room or utility. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Now, we are joined on the programme by Dr. Helmy. Good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you very much for your time today.
Oh, good morning.
Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says 31 people have died in an Israeli attack on a school-turned-shelter. Israel's army, or Israel's military, claims a Hamas command centre was embedded within the building. It also insists it took steps to mitigate risk to civilians. This is just the latest deaths that are being reported from Gaza, but there's almost deaths by 1,000 cuts ongoing as we see images of malnourished children. Children hunkering as bombs explode near them. And whilst we are somewhat exposed to what's happening, Dr. Helmy, do you think we truly get a sense of what life is like in Gaza for the innocents over there?
Okay. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Irish people. Thank you to all Ireland. Even before what happened in Gaza, I find the Irish people here are so friendly people and so nice and accepting the other. And after the genocide started by those Israeli against the Palestinian in Gaza, I show high solidarity and support from the Irish people. So first of all, we should give the definition of everything. Those Israeli people are not, this is not their land, and they are not civilians. They are occupiers. They occupy by the international law. The occupier is not a civilian. And by the international law, you have the right to defend your land and your home and your people by all the means. You should do everything for defense of your home and your land. So before Gandhi was a terrorist named by the British. Before Mandela, they call him as a terrorist. Before they always do this with all the good people who try to resist the occupation.
So, Dr. Helmy, just to be clear, who are you equating with? Who are you equating there with Mandela? Is it Hamas that you're saying, or people of Palestine, or who's the?
I would like to say a statement that the media is running by people try to give false names to the resistance. The one who is trying to resist the occupation, they always call him a terrorist.
But is it, just to be clear, Dr. Helmy, and then we'll move on, are you saying that Hamas are the modern day Mandela?
I will tell you another example. Did you think that de Gaulle, he is the one who, when the Nazi destroyed Paris, they said de Gaulle is the one who destroyed Paris or the Nazi? Mm-hmm. When the Nazi destroyed London, they said the English resistance is the cause for destroying London, or they said the Nazi is the one who destroyed London. It's the same. When you try to defend yourself, why you will be a terrorist? You try to protect your people. And they always start their narrative from 7th of October. Why they not started from 1st of October? 1st of October, the people were starving as well. Mm-hmm. Why they keep talking about 7th of October? 1st of October, kids was starving. There was no food as well.
So do you believe?
Nobody asked it? Yeah.
So, Doctor, do you believe that, well, of course, we tend to start history when it suits us most. I take your point thoroughly in relation to that. But just to be clear, do you believe that Hamas was justified in their actions on October 7th in the wider defense of Gaza?
Okay, I will tell you again. The question shouldn't be like this. If you have a stick and there is a fish in a small bowl, and you started to beat this fish and annoy them and beating them much, and then small fish jump and beat you in your finger to defend itself. Oh, you will jump. This fish is a terrorist. The thing should be in right way. The occupation is a crime. Why nobody point to those occupiers that they are a criminal war criminals? They are criminals. They weaponize the starvation. They weaponize the starvation, which is against the international law. What Hamas is do is exactly what the international law asked anybody to do. You have the right to defend your people. If you are not supporting, nobody supports the Palestinian. Nobody gives them anything.
I think, Doctor.
You want to from them to 1 second, please. You want to from the Palestinian to be the well-behaved victim, bombed day and night and killed day and night over the 75 years and not do any action. This is unlogic, really. This is unlogic.
I think most people listening, I think, and I could be very wrong, Doctor, most people listening would agree with everything that you've said in terms of the oppression of the Palestinian people and what has gone on. I think many of those, though, might struggle with your sort of rationale or understanding of what happened on October 7th, because it was so particularly horrific. So I would say most people listening, just to be honest with you, will agree, with what is happening to the people of Palestine is an absolute disgrace, but would struggle for the justification of Hamas's actions in Israel on October 7th. Now, I don't want to debate that with you because I'm just stating that. That's what I believe to be the case. I could be wrong. But let's get to the here and now and where we find ourselves. Israel are emboldened. They obviously feel they have the support of the international community, and we find ourselves in a situation where Netanyahu is saying the quiet bits out loud now. Israel is going to take over all of Gaza and supply minimal food.
Occupy the land. He want to kill the people and occupy the land. And if you want to know what happened in 1948, see Gaza now. This is how they take Palestine. How they take it. It was not their land. They only come by support of the British and by the tanks and by air against the civilian people. Those civilian people hosted them and give them homes and food and blankets because they come to Palestine as refugees from the World War I and World War II. They come as a refugee. People hosted them, give them food, give them clothes, give them land to live as they are refugees. And this is how they reward the Palestinian for their good behavior with them. They killed them. And they make massacre from 1948. They live from massacre to massacre, from war to war, from blood to blood. This is what they are doing there. And now they are talking clearly. We will take all Gaza. The Palestinians go out. They are declaring genocide. They want to kill they kill the kids. They concentrate to kill the future. They don't want kids. They don't want any Palestinian anymore. Did you imagine somebody kill the kids? This is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. What has effectively happened as well is the population have been herded into Rafah, which is a tiny space, 65 square kilometers effectively, with a population of 2 odd million.
It's planned. It's planned.
One can only...
It's planned to put the people in small area and give them more than 2 million exhausted, starved, sick, unwell. They will give them very, very tiny amount of food. Those people need at least 600 food track daily. They give by day 10 only, and they will give only 3 center of food distribution. They enjoy. Did you imagine what will happen to 2 million? Go for 3 center of taking little food, and this food only flour and no vegetables, no meat, just the flour, the minimum to keep you the calories. This is against humanity.
No.
They enjoying torturing the Palestinian and killing them by all the means. This is what they are doing.
It seems, though, that the rest of the world is prepared to stand by and watch this happening, Doctor. We did hear from.
I could see this in America, in Europe, everywhere. But the politicians and the power are deceiving their people. For the last 75 years, they give the Palestinian only promises and nice words, but nothing happened from this over 75 years. I can't believe those politicians one day in any word they said. Because we have this for over the 75 years.
Yes, but what I was going to say, is the United States continues to support Israel. We heard from the UK and the French leaders strongly worded statements, but still weapons and business continues to be. If you could just let me finish the question, Doctor, I'd really appreciate it. The point I was going to make, the point I'm trying to make here is that words have been spoken calling on Israel to stop, but for the most part, really, they've been giving a green light to do what they want to do. What if the international community is not moved by the death and destruction of the innocent people of Gaza? What do you think might change? How can this genocide be stopped? In real terms, what do you believe could happen or might happen to stop this genocide?
As a person, I don't know, but I told you my impression. For the last 25 years, they give the Palestinian just promises, and they woke up, find the land and weapons and money in the hand of the Israeli, and they find themselves a refugee. This is what happened. I can't believe those politicians in any word they said. And what is there? If you see, we believe in God. The faith, what makes those Palestinians stand and stick to their land? Because they have strong faith. You can't defeat this faith. This is what we have. We have only the God. Mm-hmm. All the people in the earth failed the Palestinian. Nobody helps them. They only go for God. They ask help from Him. If they think they could defeat the God, so nobody can defeat the God. And I know well, and I can tell you, those Zionists inside the Palestinians, they know well this is their end. They know well better than us, and this is their end. And they go for their end. They will fail. They will fail against the Palestinians.
How can the Palestinians resist this? That's the point. Faith. I'm not questioning anyone's faith, but faith in and of itself cannot destroy tanks and aeroplanes and missiles and rockets. How can Palestine defeat this Israeli government?
Actually, the Palestinians are in all this condition, and they give them all the money to leave, and they tortured them to give information about the resistance or about the tunnels or about the leader of the resistance, the Palestinian, because they believe in their resistance, believe that those are the only people who defend and fight for them, so they stand with their people who resist for their right. And those people are now do what they can do. They take the non-explosive bomb and they make it again as a weapon to fight for this invasion to their land. And regarding faith, I know faith can't defeat the tanks or the airplanes, but without faith you can't live as well. And me as a person, I don't know much. I don't know, but I believe in this is the end of the Israeli, and I believe in those good people who defend their land, who support their people. I believe in them.
How long can this go on for, though? At what point, given the level of starvation and destruction, do Hamas wave the white flag and sort of say, right, as us as the resistance here, we aren't going to necessarily achieve our goals, and I'm not. That would hand a victory. I understand that, but there must come a point where, on balance, one
Okay,
has to
I got you.
wave the white flag.
Yeah, I got you. Actually, what makes the Palestinians still there in Gaza is that Hamas didn't till now raise the white flag. If they asked Hamas to give their weapons and to give map for the tunnels. The next day they give their weapons, they will kill them all, plus the Palestinians. The only thing that this stop Israel is the weapon in the hand of Hamas and the continued resistance. When the Hamas stop the resistance and stop defending their people, will be the end of Palestinian and the end of Gaza. And Hamas knows this well. So they fight for people and for their rights. And that's why still the American and the EU give the fund and support and weapon and bomb to Israel because Israel failed. Israel till now failed to make any victory, failed to stand on the land.
Okay.
And if they stop this support 1 week, I could tell you they will be defeated. They stop this 1 week only. They will not stay 1 week alone. They can't.
Okay, Dr. Halmi, listen, thank you very much for your wider views there. If you have any view on that, please let us know. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And don't forget, of course, you can email comments@highlandradio.com.
Need some help in the bedroom? Cherrymore create hinged, sliding and walk-in wardrobes, perfect for maximising space and adding elegance. Visit their showroom or find out more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
It's the perfect time to trade up with Opel. Whether you're in the market for a diesel, petrol, hybrid or all-electric, find your perfect 252 from the incredible Opel range. Order your new Corsa, Astra, Mokka or Grandland during the Opel 252 trade-up event and enjoy flexible payment options plus a €1,000 trade-up bonus. Opel's trade-up event. Find out more at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details. Terms and conditions apply. €1,000 trade-up contribution can be used as a trade-in or deposit booster.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Dreaming of the perfect wedding? At Jackson's Hotel Ballybuffet, we make dreams come true. Our stunning fin suite with private entrance, sweeping staircase and terrace views offers a romantic setting for your special day. From intimate gatherings to grand celebrations, our dedicated team ensures every detail is flawless. Say I do at Jackson's Hotel, where love stories begin. Visit jacksonshotel.ie today.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Do you have a job vacancy that needs filled fast? Tried everything but still no luck? Let Highland Radio's Job Spot do the work for you. We'll share your vacancies with 70,000 daily listeners in Donegal, Derry and Tyrone every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during prime time. Plus your jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our Job Spot section. It's fast, cost effective and reaches the people you need. Contact our advertising team today on 07491 253 22 or email advertising at highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
All right, some sample of views, polarised to some extent. Akola says Hamas are a terrorist group. They slaughter women and children, which, if you've seen the video from October 7th, is demonstrably true. But another caller says, I agree with everything that doctor is saying. Keep your views coming in on that. A caller says the A5 is no different to any other road in Donegal. It's not a bad road. The issue is speed. It is, though. It is a bad road. Let's see. There's a couple here on different stuff that I'll get back to in a mo. Still, a lot of you still actually vexed on the holiday home story. I think that the council should buy land and it will be used officially for drifting. The Gardaí, the RSA and the Motor Club should be involved. This will help all the diffing that goes on the roads, especially during rally weekend. Why do bicycles and electric bikes have no insurance? Well, they just traditionally don't. Walkers and cyclists have to walk out on the roads due to hedges being overgrown. It's not safe. Hedges aren't going to be cut until the end of August. That is a big issue, and it's great if you can see them. But if you can't see them, and we do have obviously a significant, number of people who are visually impaired or have sight loss, and those overgrown hedges are a real problem for them. Imagine getting some of those thorns into your eyes. And also, too, maybe people pushing buggies as well. You know, it's easy enough to step out onto the road, albeit dangerous. But if you're pushing a buggy, it becomes far more complicated. Right. Let's talk to Aideen Urell, who's campaign director with the Irish Council Against Blood Sports. Aideen, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me on, Greg. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this issue of the barbarism of fox hunting.
So how prevalent is fox hunting in this country? Like, is it in a certain amount of sort of Middle Ireland counties, or is it in every county? I mean, how extensive is fox hunting?
Well, there are about 100 registered, what they call affiliated hunts. And there's one in Donegal, the Donegal Harriers. They're just spread all over the country. And do remember that fox hunting is outlawed in England, Scotland, Wales. And this is 20 years ago. And there's a bill pending in Northern Ireland, and we hope that will be passed. And Deputy Ruth Carpenter is bringing a bill. She's introducing her bill to ban fox hunting in Dáil Éireann next Tuesday. And we'll be having a rally at 1 o'clock beforehand to support that, to mark that event.
So when you talk of fox hunting, I believe they can in Britain, and correct me if I'm wrong, whereby you trail or you provide a scent. So in other words, you get the sport of fox hunting, but there is no fox in peril, or you're not chasing a real fox. Is your organisation against that as well, or is that a compromise?
Having seen the experience in Britain, unfortunately, trail hunting can lead on to actual fox hunting, and this is going on. It's a kind of a loophole for them to go on a trail, and then if they come across a fox, to hunt the fox. Unfortunately, trail hunting, the experience in Britain does show that it's not effective, unfortunately.
But here you can chase. You can chase the. Of course, they're looking to ban trail hunting. Here you can chase a fox till it's exhausted, and then it's left to the hounds. Then at that point.
They take a large pack of hounds, anything up to 60 hounds, out into the countryside and pursue a fox, followed by people on horseback. And this is all for sport and entertainment. And pursue what's really it's a canine, it's a little brown dog, for hours on end. Hours we can do that, and they think that's great fun. It's the epitome of bullying. It's like the bully in the schoolyard. It's appalling, and I can't understand the mentality of people who engage in that pursuit.
Do you think getting campaigns over the line is more difficult now, given the fact that people are witnessing what's happening around the world? We're more exposed to it than we would have been 20 years ago when these topics were being discussed. Do you think it's more difficult to get, I suppose, animal rights-based stuff over the line now, to get traction for a campaign, with, as I say, with everything else that's going on affecting humans?
Yeah, I understand that, Greg. And I mean, I, like everybody else, is very affected from what I am very affected by what I'm hearing from Gaza and Ukraine and other parts of the world where there's terrible cruelty going on to humans. It's just appalling. We've been campaigning against hair coursing and fox hunting going back to the mid-60s. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just have to keep going with this, and there's no excuse for them not to ban it. They can't just say it's not the right time. There's no such thing as not the right time.
And it is kind of interesting, Aideen, because if the truth be told, very few people participate in fox hunting when you look at it in terms of the population. But the majority of the population, almost 8 out of 10 of the population, oppose it. So it does make you wonder what sort of the strength of the fox hunting lobby is, because there's not many other examples where so few people want to partake in an activity that so many oppose. So they must be a powerful group.
Well, 77% of Irish citizens want to see fox hunting banned, and also the same want to see hare coursing banned. And you wonder why it's not. Why, when you get to the doors of the gate of Dáil Éireann, you come up against this resistance. And it is the fault of the politicians. They're the ones, and mainly the main parties, who are turning a blind eye. They don't want to ban anything here. They don't want to offend anyone.
I think it's probably maybe seen as attack on rural life, and it's not really good for sort of rural backbench TDs to speak about, because the sort of, whilst the amount of fox hunters might be few, they do primarily reside within the rural communities, and I think that's always been a factor. It's the same with the funding of horse racing and greyhound racing.
Yeah.
They're seen as rural activities, I believe.
Looking at that 70% and analysed across urban and rural, it's much the same for urban and rural. Rural people want to see it banned just as much as urban.
Okay.
So it's not the generality of rural people who think fox hunting is okay or should go on.
All right, okay. Well, as you say, Ruth Coppinger, she is introducing her animal health and welfare bill on Tuesday, and to coincide with that, a ban fox hunting protest is taking place outside Dáil Éireann tomorrow at 1 p.m. Okay, thanks, Aideen. Very well articulated. I appreciate it. Now, whether people agree or disagree, she's made a point very well. As I say, I don't think very many people fox hunt when you look at it as the wider population, but the majority of us seemingly don't want it to happen. Have you a view on that? 086 60 25,000. More comments coming in on holiday homes. Ridiculous suggestion to boycott holiday homemakers, most who are Irish, which is true particularly here in Donegal. Boycott the Gombeen men and their politicians' friends who are making millions out of iPass. The iPass system is a better idea, as the money should be used to house our own. The one thing I'd be a bit nervous about that comparison is that iPass people are living in people in iPass centres living in grouped accommodation. It's crappy accommodation that would not be suitable, like hotel living long term. Many of our homeless need additional supports, right? There is issues of addiction present, or other socioeconomic issues. It's not just there's a house, go and live in it, what have you. And I think, to be honest with you, I think here's a bit of a curveball. I think if 200 homeless people were taken from the streets of Dublin and put into a hotel in Letterkenny, I think we'd start to see people being expressing disquiet about that. I think that is the truth, because the homelessness problem requires, in a great deal of cases, additional services, supports, and supported living as well. It's not just saying there's a house. That being said, that doesn't mean the iPass centre people like that. It's just the iPass solution is not the solution to our housing crisis. I think it has to be said. And there's some interesting statistics on iPass, the amount of people that are coming in, the makeup of them. I'll bring them to you if you want. Some people would frame it that I'm being pro or anti one way or other, okay? But I do have access to the figures in terms of how many people in iPass are in Donegal, nationally, how many coming in, what countries are they coming in, how many are single males versus single women versus families and children. Those figures are there. I suppose everyone can interpret them the way they want. But, we've about 30,000 people seeking protection in this country at the moment. Most of them are living in like hotels or grouped accommodation. And the new arrivals, about half of them are single males. Not single males, the males travelling on their own. I don't know if you thought that figure might be higher or lower. But anyway, about half of them are single males. The rest are made up of women, families, women and children. A caller says, I honestly think it's the government people should boycott. It's their fault and their fault only that we are in this situation. What is wrong with the people of this country and our representatives that are in government or in the government in any way, like Sinn Féin and all other political parties. This is who needs to be boycotted, says the listener. Okay, I'll come back with the weather and more comments as we head towards the news at 11.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town, they have fantastic packages on full home renovations. Whether you're looking to update your kitchen, bedroom or living room, visit cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show. Dublin calling? Fly with Aer Lingus from Donegal Airport twice daily from just $29.99 one way. Convenient, affordable and hassle-free. Don't miss out. Book your flight now at aerlingus.com. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're fitting a new kitchen or replacing some tired appliances, now's the time with the Ben Sweeney Euronics Kitchen Bundle. Get a single oven and hob, integrated dishwasher and fridge freezer, wash machine and tumble dryer, all for just €2,000. Other kitchen bundles are available on request. Call us today or visit Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
You never know when barbecue weather will arrive or leave. But with Aldi's 100% Irish Board Bia quality assured barbecue range, you can be ready at a moment's notice. Like lean beef burgers, basted pork loin chops, and marinated chicken fillet kebabs. All for only $2.99 per pack. So go on, get summer started. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, so we're in this spell of unsettled weather, though I don't mind it that much. It's not as bad as I thought it might be because it's still relatively mild and you can get out and about and do stuff in the right clothes. But anyway, today will be noticeable. No, that's yesterday, Greg. Today, scattered showers and some sunny spells at first, but becoming cloudy and wet with outbreaks of rain moving eastwards through the day. Now, that rain will turn heavy at times during the late afternoon and evening. Temperatures around 12 to 15 degrees and a moderate to fresh southwest to west wind, becoming strong at times. Right. A caller says, I took my son who was learning difficulties to the toilet after half-time at the match on Saturday. I went to 5 of the portaloos and not one had toilet roll left. Thank God a kind woman realised my predicament and gave me some tissues. We paid €80 to take our family to the game. I don't mind paying. I don't even expect the toilets to be spotless, but having someone in charge of ensuring there is toilet roll is so important for human dignity. The GEA need to get the basics right, okay? That's one person's experience. It wasn't full-time either. You know, it was at half-time, so you would expect there to be toilet paper in the loos, wouldn't you? Greg, give a big shout out to all those involved in Relay for Life. Apart from the weather, it was another fantastic 2 days. I watched online and Daniel brought it to a close. Thanks again. That comes in from Kathleen Grant. Yes, indeed. And lots of people attend at different times. So there's kind of the crowd ebbs and flows a little bit, but hopefully lots and lots of money was raised. And as well as it too, I know it's an important event for some people for their own personal reasons. And I hope they got the, and I'm sure they did, got the lift or the comfort from that. A caller says the comments against holiday home owners is absolutely ridiculous. As someone who doesn't have a second home, and as bad as the housing crisis is, private property, who do these people think they are, compelling people to sell or rent out their own property? It was a government policy to invite vulture funds. They were invited in by that government policy to not build houses, not the people who made decisions to spend their money. Communist China or North Korea has no show, effectively saying similar, I think. Yeah, I find I've really struggled to contain my views that, you know, I know people that have worked blooming hard and they're not even rich, but they did happen to acquire a second property or what have you, and they don't trust banks, they don't have any reserves, and that really is sort of what they hope will sustain them in their later years. And the idea that that could be taken from them to fix a problem that could be fixed other ways by the state, I struggle not to sort of speak out in relation to that. All right, news headlines on the way at 11, and then another busy hour to come on the 9 till noon show.
Bring your dream kitchen to life with Cherrymore. Discover functional, beautiful designs with a wide range of colours and styles to suit any project. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
The Hillary's mid-season sale is now on. Get up to 40% off hundreds of beautiful made-to-measure styles. Plus, for a limited time only, enjoy an extra 10% off absolutely everything. That's an extra 10% off all blinds, curtains, shutters, even items already in the sale. And measuring and fitting is always included. We've been transforming homes across Ireland for over 40 years. Book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.ie. Hurry, the extra 10% off ends 2nd of June. Conditions apply.
For Pat, 10 years had been too long a wait to see his team reach the final. So if ever a match called for bunting, it was now.
We've got to show our support. Full team colours on every pole will do the trick. Just hold the ladder.
Always ask yourself the question, are you sure it's safe? Never attach anything to electricity poles and always look out for electricity wires above and below you. If in doubt, call us on 1-800 372 999. ESB Networks. Stay safe and stay clear of electricity wires.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Are you a community hero? Return is championing over 3,000 community initiatives across Ireland's cities, towns and villages with our Small Town Big Difference campaign. For your chance to win €2,000 for your local community group, tell us how your initiative is making an impact in your local area with the deposit return scheme. T's and C's apply. Visit return.ie/heroes for more information.
30 years of magic, 30 years of passion, 30 years of unforgettable performances. Riverdance 30, the new generation, is coming to the Gaiety Theatre in Dublin for a limited anniversary tour. Join us on Thursday the 28th of August to experience the rhythm and pure magic of Riverdance, live in the city where it all began. Luxury coach transfers, overnight accommodation on a bed and breakfast basis at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel in the heart of Dublin. Fantastic seats to the show and free time to explore all that Dublin has to offer. Spaces are limited. Don't miss out on your chance to witness this iconic and unforgettable show. Contact us today on 9125,000 or check out The Outlet on highlandradio.com to book your place now.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
OK, it's 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. And it's good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Police in Tyrone have renewed their appeal for information following the death of an 82-year-old Lifford woman in a two-car collision close to the Ulster American Folk Park outside Omagh on Saturday afternoon. Bernie Cranley was killed in the collision. Another woman in her 70s was taken to hospital for treatment of serious injuries. On today's 9 till noon show, the A5 Enough is Enough campaign chair, Niall McKenna, said the statistics are stark, but every statistic represents grief and death, and this issue must be resolved. An Irish MEP is calling for an explanation from ESB Networks as to why there's been a significant increase in power cuts across the country, and particularly in Donegal, where the increase is higher than the national average of 22% between 2023 and 2024. In Letterkenny, the increase was 44%. In Killybegs, 61%. Cynthia Wellick said on today's 9 till noon show that while there is a disparity between Donegal and Dublin that can be partially explained by the weather, the figures are so stark, there must be more to it. A Letterkenny councillor is calling for more measures to prevent speeding after recent figures showed that over €1.5 million had been raised in Donegal in speeding fines in recent years. Over 2,000 detections in the first 5 months of this year alone. Councillor Jerry McMonigal says it shows that there is an increase in the amount of speeding detections, but he says there doesn't seem to be a commensurate successful campaign to decrease speeding on our roads. That, he says, must be a priority. The tourism sector may play an increasingly important role in supporting long-term economic growth and in particular an expansion of the domestic tourist market. That's according to the latest SME Monitor published today by Banking and Payments Federation of Ireland. Irish GDP grew by 13% in the first quarter of the year, largely driven by medical and pharmaceutical exports. But in counties such as Donegal, much of the growth potential is in tourism. And Butcher Street in Derry is to close for the next 3 evenings as a result of important cable works taking place. To close from Magazine Street upward to Waterloo Street, with a number of diversions in place around the city. The road will remain closed in the city centre between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. starting this evening until Wednesday. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Donald, thank you very much indeed.
At Alliance, we've been in Ireland since 1902, so we've seen a lot. Risings, tigers, clashes, crashes and recovery. And we've been around through it all. So here's to another 120 years of protecting the people of Ireland. Visit alliance.ie for a car, home or pet insurance quote. Existing customers can save an extra 5% when you buy an additional policy online. 5% multi-policy discount in addition to existing online discounts for car, home and pet insurance. Alliance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, minimum premiums, terms and conditions apply.
Okay, the lady on the radio a little earlier is absolutely wrong. Farmers need the fox hunters. What about lambs and hens, etc.? I think really you could maybe control or cull the fox population without... It doesn't seem effective chasing one fox around for a couple of hours in terms of controlling the fox population if they're a threat to lambs and hens, if that makes sense. All right. Mick Ledden is a psychotherapist and chair of PsyCare Ireland. Good morning to you. How are you keeping, Mick?
Very good, Greg. Great to be on the show this morning.
All right, tell us about the company stroke organisation.
Yeah, brilliant. So basically PsyCare Ireland is a charity, and every year in Ireland upwards of 2 million people attend music festivals and concerts. And although they're really fun for most, they can also be stressful, overwhelming, places where people have fights, the crowd is too busy and overwhelming. They're also synonymous with high levels of recreational drug and alcohol use. So one HSE survey found 94.2% of respondents said they had used drugs at festivals, others mixing alcohol and polydrug use. So we basically see at a lot of these events a high level of mental health distress caused by substances and just by the environment in general. And I suppose up until a few years ago, there was no services in Ireland, unlike the UK, where there would be welfare, there would be psychological support at these big music festivals like the Picnic or Sea Sessions, that's now, I think, is now on hiatus. And really, PsyCare is here to change that. We bring volunteers to festivals, we train them, and we support young people and people of all ages' mental health in the field.
I think, when I was first talking about this, and I think there was a pilot at a festival a few years back, I can't remember exactly where it was, there were some people concerned that this in some way was endorsing substance abuse or what have you. But really, it's about, you can't push this tide back. An awful lot of people, the majority of people attend these events and will partake in one drug or other, right? So we have to try and get into where this is happening and best protect people, whether we like it happening in the first instance or not.
Exactly, and I think, kind of like illicit drug use is only a part of the picture. Alcohol use is an enormous piece of the picture where people are having mental health difficulties or having challenges due to alcohol. They're also having them due to staying up over 2 or 3 days. And things like spiking, assaults, intimidation, all these things happen at festivals. So PsyCare is really, without judgment, saying, well, whatever the reason, if someone's upset at the festival, if they're having a bit of a crisis, that we're there to support them. And yeah, we've stopped people from walking off site in confused states, or people having panic attacks, people in heightened distress. And yeah, so far it's been 17 events to date and 624 people, and I think we're only at the beginning of stemming the tide.
Yeah, as you mentioned, one festival that you did attend locally is on hiatus, but listen, we're from Donegal, we travel all over the place to attend events, so we will be down the country at events where PsyCare is. How do you engage with people? Is it tense, or do you be in amongst the crowd, maybe trying to observe people in difficulty, or maybe it's a combination of both?
It's a kind of a bit of a combination. We do set up our own softly furnished, nice and welcoming tents, because I think if you're distressed, you probably don't need bright lights in a medical tent type situation. there's a soft place people can come and sit. We also have more private tents kind of in the back if somebody's really distressed, really needs that kind of intensive support. And you'll see our volunteers in blue high vis vests walking around the festival site as well, just checking around the stages, just letting people know that we're there. They'll see our signs around as well. So there's all kinds of ways people can come and get a bit of support from us.
You have received a bit of funding to keep the work going as much as you can. Do you think that the government policies need to to recognise that this is a space where you might see a peak in people needing assistance for mental health issues, be it, I don't know, whatever it might be. People know the scenarios. So maybe some sort of a policy in this area so that organisations like yours or just yours are present, and of course funding in that regard.
I think absolutely, and I think we only have to look across the water at the UK, or even just across the border into the north, where there's the Purple Guide for events, and that clearly stipulates that welfare is a mainstream part of events, at music events, big concerts. But so far in Ireland, there's been no legislation or no kind of policy towards that. So in essence, a lot of this has been kind of swept under the rug. So. I think we do need to see maybe a change at the local county council level when they're looking at granting the licenses for these festivals, especially when alcohol is being served at the events. We just know that that's terrible for people's mental health. And if we can do more, if PsyCare can be there or other organisations that need to fill the gap, I think that makes for a healthier, happier festival culture and less trauma, less deaths, less people leaving events. Maybe never wanting to go out again.
Or being in a vulnerable position to be the victim of an assault. There's many different areas. But I mean, I believe organisers of these big events have a duty of care. I mean, are they inviting PsyCare onto site? Are they saying, look, we'll facilitate the spaces that you believe that are necessary? We'll cover the costs of your volunteers. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, obviously we're always looking for the government to step in, but I believe these people make a lot of money. And I believe they should have a duty of care to recognise this themselves.
Yeah, and I think there is there is a lot of pressure on, especially small independent festivals, in terms of budget, in terms of insurance going up every year and everything. But they've probably been the most proactive in welcoming PsyCare into the space. And while they mightn't be able to do much more than cover some basic expenses, the small independent festivals have been really good. We've begun to start kind of breaking into maybe some of the more, let's say, commercial festivals with alcohol sponsorship and things like that, such as District X. That was Ireland's largest dance music one-day event last year. But I do think there's a long way to go in terms of the conversation, a bit like in other ways in the country, prioritising mental health, saying that mental health services are needed and they need to be funded. And as you'd say, I think a lot of these big festivals that make a lot of money do have a duty of care. And I suppose we hope they're listening.
All right. Listen, Mick, thanks very much for your time. If you yourself or others are heading to a festival, keep an eye out. Note where the PsyCare tent is located if it's there. We hope it is. Okay, Mick, thanks. Mick Ledden, psychotherapist and chair of PsyCare Ireland, 086 60 25,000. I haven't been to a big festival. I'm not. That's just a passing comment, not in any way trying to sort of limit the importance of that conversation. I'm not sure if it's on the list. It's something I'd like to do, but anyway. A caller says, I live in an area where there are lots of foxes in the lambing season. A lot of lambs went missing. I wouldn't be a fan of fox hunting, but if we let the place be overrun with foxes, cause a lot of bother to the sheep sector. So what can be done? Well, we kill a ton of badgers in this country to protect the cattle from TB and what have you. And we kill tens of thousands of badgers, and it's not necessarily making inroads into the amount of TB that's in herds, if the truth be told. But certainly maybe a cull of foxes is what's required. If it were done, I mean, you can't effectively manage the fox population by chasing them on horses and with dogs. I don't think anyone could argue that, could they? A caller says, I abhor all cruelty to all creatures, all animals and all humans. I find it hypocritical, though, that Ruth Coppinger should be fighting to stop the cruelty of killing of foxes, yet she sees nothing wrong with the cruel killing of thousands of babies through legal abortion, and it's happening every day. it is every time we talk about Gaza or the rights of any other individuals, there are people, and probably justifiably they'd feel that relate this to abortion. And then you could have the debate of whether it's babies or uterus or matter or whatever. But of course, that was passed in a referendum. No one's had a say on fox hunting, or no one's had a say on what is happening in Gaza, for an example. Another texter says, chased to exhaustion and ripped apart by a pack of dogs. The abuse of foxes in fox hunting is obscene and should not be allowed in modern Ireland. I hope Ruth Coppinger's bill is successful and we can finally see an end to this animal cruelty. That came in for from Philip. Hi, Greg. The reason people can't rent out their properties is because it has become very common that tenants stop paying the rent. And as you said, it's difficult to get them out. And when they have to go, they are likely to wreck your house. If the government want to bully people into letting their homes, they should be responsible for the unpaid rent and to restore the property to its original condition, like an agent. This would sort out the problem. Do you think they would risk it? Well, like if you use Airbnb, if Airbnb have an insurance policy, do they not, to cover damage to the property and what have you? Maybe there could be a state insurance system to cover losses in property. I don't know. Hi, Greg. I'd be really grateful if you could say a massive thank you on behalf of all the cyclists and support crews who did Mizzen to Malin last week to raise money for Irish guide dogs. Coming through Donegal on Thursday and particularly in a show on Friday, the support cheering us on was amazing. Staff and children from St. Mura's, Tubin and Scollisigon and Buncrana gave us the best welcome. People who have been involved in the cycle for years hadn't seen anything like it. Coming from Buncrana, I was so proud of our town and the effort people made. Unfortunately, we're always in the news for negative reasons and sad events, but we've the most amazing community of people, and hopefully other people saw that on Friday. Thanks for reading this. Jennifer, fair play to you. Just your latest challenge. I wonder what's next for you. Brilliant achievement, for a great cause as well. And I do take your point, but we do try and talk. We were up in Carn recently, and we've been in different parts of Inishowen, celebrating all that's wonderful and beautiful, and the people in particular, Jennifer. But I do take your point in terms of headline news. Often it's stories that don't seem really that positive. Well done to you and all involved. In relation to Gaza, 2 comments before a break, and then Brendan Devaney's going to join us. Gaza doctor, he said, Hamas defending Palestinian people. I don't believe that Hamas are destroying their people. And in many cases, I believe that Hamas are destroying their people and in many cases using them as human shields and taking food and resources away from the impoverished. Remember, recently when thousands of Palestinians marched in protest against Hamas, which wasn't given much publicity by the media. One more on that. The man Greg is speaking to at present is 100% right. Israel have been winning out the Palestinians since 1948, and the world has to wake up. The only way to stop it is if the US is forced to stop supplying the weapons. They won't be forced to do anything. They really won't. And someone else pointed out an irony that Donald Trump, very clear to call out the South African leader about a genocide in South Africa, which is disputed whether or not a genocide of white farmers is happening, but is also endorsing, financing and supplying weapons to Israel to conduct what is, you cannot deny, a genocide in Gaza. But we live in that world now. We live in that world whereby someone can very, very clearly on day one accuse one country of genocide and saying you have to stop it, it's unbelievable. And on the other hand, in the same day, sign off on a contract to send more billions of euro worth of weapons to bomb those in Gaza. But that you can't even call the irony out as if you can win the argument on it, because it just happens right in front of your face. Do you get where I'm coming from? You could ask Donald Trump that question and he would just bat it away. We don't live in a world where now you can reason, it seems.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
With 29 years of experience, Cherrymore is trusted across Ireland for exceptional quality and service. Let their expert team guide you from concept to completion. Cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show. Our home value event is now on at McElhinney's department store. Discover unbeatable offers on your favourite homeware brands with major savings of up to 50% off bedding, home decor, kitchenware and more. Visit us to explore the home value event in store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
Looking for a new car today? Go to any Nissan dealer and say you want 4K your way. Nissan's new 4K Your Way deal lets you choose €4,000 towards financing a new Nissan or €4,000 as a trade-in bonus. This offer is available on 4 Nissan models, the Qashqai, Duke, X-Trail or Aria. So if you're looking for a 252 car today, don't delay. Get 4K your way. See nissan.ie for details. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Sprain, minor injury, cuts, burns, just not feeling well. Skip the hospital long wait. Get seen fast at the Ophidia Minor Injuries and Illness Clinic located at Scally Place, Letterkenny. No appointment needed, just walk in. We're open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Charges will apply. Pay and reclaim with PHI. Ophidia, expert care when you need it. Visit ophidia.ie for more.
Charge into summer with TUI. Choose from a beach cruise or city break or Mexico flying direct from Dublin. Holiday sorted. TUI, live happy.
Fresh deals at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh. 6-pack Royal Gala apples, avocados and chestnut mushrooms only 79 cent. Asparagus and pineapples €1.49. Plus 3 for €10 on signature taste berries. Real value every time, only at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It is 18 minutes past 9. DL Debate on tonight just after 7. Brendan Devaney is its host, compere, producer, everything really. Good morning to you. Thanks, Brendan.
Good morning, Craig.
Right, let's go back to Saturday. It seems like a lifetime ago. Saturday evening, McCool Park, 7 p.m, crappy conditions. Tyrone beat Donegal. Is that the post-Ulster hangover and maybe the kick up the jacksie that were not indestructible that we needed?
Oh, listen, a very hard game to call. I don't think there's a hangover because probably our best game last year was the exact same game where we blew Tyrone away. We maybe had a bit of dip after that, actually, so maybe it's a bit of a reset, but really, Greg, listen, we could have very easily won the match, and there was never going to be much in it between us and Tyrone. As it wasn't been between Tyrone and Armagh. I mean, Tyrone had Armagh beaten. So, this was always going to come down to the wire. And particularly then, I think, just in those closing moments, we just struggled to get our kick out away and Tyrone seized a bit of momentum. I mean, I was saying just in commentary with Oisin, I thought we'd won it through 2-pointers because I couldn't see Tyrone getting any. But I didn't calculate Peter Hart, who is brilliant at what he does in that. And the bit of movement that led to it. Maybe we should have highlighted it was him on the ball. I think he's the only Tyrone player could have kicked that 2-pointer. It was an unreal kick, and that probably was the defining score of the game. But maybe a bit unlucky with the goals. I mean, the wet ball coming down for the first one in particular, I mean, just kind of slipped out of Keelan's grasp and that. So
they
that
took
was
the chances. But, obviously, we speculate and we don't manage our expectations because that's what we can do with sport. It's brilliant. So, we were wondering with Galway and Kerry and Armagh and what have you, if Donegal were the standout team, they were the formed team. As it turns out, there was a wee bit of a surprise there in Tyrone beating them. But no, I don't think Tyrone fans then are going away saying, right now we're one of the top 4, if you know what I mean. So was it a bad game? Did Tyrone play out of the skin, or did Donegal not turn up?
Yeah, what Tyrone fans are we talking about? Because
really?
There wasn't many there.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know what's happening with Tyrone at the minute. It's an absolute football factory. I mean, just seeing their 20s and minors at the weekend again, and they just seem to just keep producing players. But I don't know what's happened to the support. It's really strange. I mean, I would say maybe would they hit 1,500 out of that?
Really, that
yeah. Oh, listen, it was. I don't know what's happening with them. So yeah, and I just still think that there's 6 or 7 teams out there, really, maybe 6, and you would say there's nothing between them. They can beat each other on any given day, and I think that's what it comes down to. And I don't think for Donegal, I suppose what we thought was because of Jim and the mindset of the team. In every game we've done this year, we've wanted to win, we've won it. We've only lost a couple of games that we didn't really care about. So you just thought that home record. Of course, Tyrone was one of the last teams to beat us there as well. So it didn't bother, it wouldn't faze them coming in to Balfay. They had a great squad. And probably as the game went on, losing, listen, Big Hugh went off, obviously Keenan McGonigal went off injured, like Jason McGee didn't make it. And then suddenly you're missing a lot of height round the middle. Like Langan, who was, what a performance. He was unbelievable. I mean, just a Rolls Royce of a player. But he isn't really a high fielder as such. So everything then was kind of being targeted at Michael. And, you know, Michael then Tyrone knew that, and he really kind of went after him second half. So all of a sudden we were looking, how are we getting out? And as I say, the big thing in that is Jason McGee. I mean, last season when we needed to get a kick out anywhere, he plucked it out of the skies. So getting him back is key to us, Greg, if we want to go on in a tight game and win it.
Okay, everything for a period seemed to just go through Michael Murphy. He wouldn't have been on that team last year.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he was awesome again.
He was fantastic, but it was sort of route one through him.
Yeah, well, himself and
is that his positioning? Is that the game plan? Were we stuck and it was right? Give it to Murphy. He'll do something with the ball.
See, the guy Hampsey was on him, and then Teague as well. I mean, they're tough guys themselves. Like, you know, maybe just expecting so much of Michael, and plus when they know that they can just break or knock it away from him, you know, it's just a lot to ask of him. And he still, as you say, some of his kicks were just unbelievable.
Is that you? Is that a laptop or something?
I'm double jobbing here, Greg.
Okay,
Don't tell me.
Listen, I won't hold you up. All right, so listen, we don't know where we're at now. We play Mayo next. It kind of, especially with Mayo losing, the one team doesn't advance from our group, right? So will one win do us? We can't. We would.
Well, it can potentially, but
it depends on score difference. Then, you know. So
listen,
it's
Tyrone are in the driving seat now. Let's be honest.
But we're not, like, we can't take anything for granted here. We don't want to be that fourth team.
Yeah. Well, no, we won't be. You know, let's be honest about it.
Well, where do we get the points?
We will beat Cavan and we'll beat Mayo as well.
I've never seen you actually speak with such certainty.
No, listen, I've watched the two of them.
All right, normally you hedge your bets, but you'll just go, we're going to beat them.
No, we will beat the two of them. I have no doubt in that. Listen, they're not bad sides, but they're not tactically aware as we are. And listen, for where we were the last couple of seasons, where those teams are, you know, it's a matter of us just finding. If we find our form and our rhythm, we will beat the two of them. But you will still face that preliminary game where you'll play a third team from another group as well. So, you know, quite a few things happened probably the weekend, Greg. You know, we had such a high percentage conversion rate in previous games, which left us a bit. A lot of unforced errors, which we never seen. And a few of them, Greg, we actually just literally dropped the ball, which we don't normally do. Now, I know it's conditions and different things, but
that affected all 30 players.
Tyrone didn't do it as much. It was one of those kind of unusual things, and as well as that, I mean, Langan and Murphy hitting 15 points over 20. That's very unusual for us. We normally have a big spread of scoring.
But that's what I'm saying. I hope that when the chips are down, we don't just give it to Murphy.
Yeah, let's not hope. And I don't think Michael would want that either.
A caller says the defeat has been coming for Donegal. Our defence has been shaky all year. We lost big leads twice in the Armagh game, and we're lucky enough to win it. Too many players underperforming. Is that a fair enough assessment?
Well, I mean, last year Armagh had leads against us, and we pegged them back as well. I don't think in the modern game now big leads are what they were.
I think it's what happens next, isn't it? It's when you start getting pinned back.
Yeah.
Do you what you do next? And I actually think it's encouraging that we can regroup and come back.
We were 5 behind twice against Tyrone at the weekend, which is a bit of a lead, but twice we pegged them back. And when McBurdy had that brilliant 2-pointer, you really thought, you know, at home, the crowd and all that, it was with us. But back again to kickouts, so many games have been decided on the kickouts. And I think it was our last 5 kickouts, Tyrone won them all and just penned us in. And when that happens, you're going to lose the match. So therein lies the whole key to this. And you're on about Gavin Mayo, tactics, whatever. If we get our kickouts away and get our kickouts sorted, then there's no doubt we'll win them. That's the only thing you can see ever kind of swaying against you. So again, listen, we really did well when they come in here. It's a difficult thing to come into that, and it's so difficult now to get kickouts away. We just happen to have Sean Patton, who's the best in Ireland at it, so it's always going to be difficult to replace that. And he did well up into those closing moments, and then how much of that is down to him and about the movement of the team as well. People were tired.
Other variables. a lot of variables. Derry, Galway also were Derry. Armagh were also in action at 5 o'clock. That game wasn't televised at all.
Yeah, everybody giving off about this one. With all the technology we have, like for streaming,
shocking,
and you go on to the site there and you have all these multiples. I don't know why they need all these channels.
I know.
What
makes you think there is going to be like 8 games. I don't
understand. Is there suddenly going to be 10 matches on at one time?
They showed the Monaghan game instead. And, I mean, but don't do all the preamble and the half time and the full time. Just show the blooming game.
Yeah,
you got commentators there anyway because you're going to show highlights later.
That's it. Right.
Bit frustrating, all right. A lot of club action at the weekend too.
Yeah, listen, some good derbies in there, like Termon and Downlands as well. And I suppose it's that time of year where the clubs are just kind of getting themselves together for championship. I mean, it's such a pre-competition. You know, the league, it's everybody just getting ready. So many players have county men as well not involved. So they're just trying to get people up to the level and then get us ready for the big championship. So how much we read into it's hard to know. Listen, no more than kind of the league at county level. You've teams that want to be up in Division 1 and 2 and stay there to build. But the bigger teams that are set for the championship, particularly you look at like the Unions, Neve Connell, Gidor, even Four Masters now are making a play up there. You know, you look at a lot of the bigger sides up there that they aren't that worried.
You're strategizing really. You're building towards the championship.
It's a very slow build. I mean, Unions, for example, have no game for 3 weeks now. How it's fallen. So that's a strange time then for you just to keep players kind of taking over. And you've got that balance between base fitness and then keeping your sharpness but keeping everybody fresh, which is a juggling act.
Back to the intercounty game. Owen Mulligan's on. Brendan Kilcoyne's on as well, so that'll be good. Tyrone and Donegal represented there. You'll have to be impartial, of course. And you have Michael McMullen's on the show as well. I know the audience enjoy him talking more about the All-Ireland series across the country. Anything else coming up? That's not enough. That's plenty.
We'll wrap her all up, and we'll look ahead. Of course, boys have to dust themselves down, as you said, Breffni Park, and that's the tester now, Greg, but I think we'll come out on top.
What do you think? You were very certain a wee while ago. A lot of people talked about McCool's being the county ground. I mean, like, listen, you know, McCool's are a club. They're just a club, right? And they have to function like a club. I know they have the county ground. They've got the new score system. And I think if the sun was shining, no one would really be too worried about the lack of seating or you know, roof. Do you think it does need a cash injection from maybe outside the club to bring it up or what?
Yeah, listen, we'd love to see it covered all over. You know, as you said there, if it was a summer's evening, they wouldn't be worried about it.
Won't be smothering themselves in oil.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, you can obviously cover the stand area, you know, it just depends on cost. Can the GA come in? And obviously it's the county ground, so it needs backed up by everybody in there. But yeah, when it opened up before the match, you really did feel for people because, you know, we've been so used to the dry, and of course maybe not that many people are ready
you
for
forget about football in the rain.
I know. my wee niece actually was texting, can I go up to Brendan up in the phone? And I was a
clever wee niece.
I know, wee slow and Mulligan. So I was like, here, I was saying to Arlene, if I had known, I would have taken her on. You better have to stay out, but I would have taken her on somewhere out Lorraine.
Yeah, and then there's little things that need to be gotten right, toilet roll and stuff for the toilets. But anyway, listen, I'm sure everyone will take on the criticism in how it's intended. People feel a sense of ownership because it is the county ground. It's not a criticism of individuals. It's a tough old thing for clubs to keep everything right. Okay, so you're on live after 7, and then obviously it's a podcast then very shortly thereafter on the website.
That's the one, Greg.
Brent, thanks so much for calling up.
Need some inspiration for your home renovation? Explore Cherrymore's kitchen and bedroom collections and create a space as unique as you. Book your design appointment today at cherrymore.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Looking for a strong, reliable mobile clothesline? Firegrids Donegal have you covered. We also specialise in gates, railings and all types of fabrication work, custom made to suit your needs, serving all areas with quality you can trust. Call us today on 086 860 2012. That's 086 860 2012. Firegrids Donegal. We build quality that lasts. Find us on Facebook, Firegrids Donegal.
We carry those up long before the day breaks, who make our lives better, whatever it takes. And for those who need some extra assistance, we'll get you on board. We'll go the distance. With new electric vehicles, quiet and cleaner, Our growing TFI network helps keep Ireland greener for the days of your life and the big nights out too. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
The days are getting longer, the sun is making an appearance, and that means barbecue season is just around the corner. At Maple stores across the county, we've got you covered with quality charcoal, fresh meats, and all your sunny day essentials. Pick up something refreshing to toast in the sunshine, treat the kids or yourself to some delicious whipped ice cream, and don't forget your favourite Maple coffee. Follow your local Maple store on Facebook for weekly offers, and remember, we also sell fuel too. Maple stores. Fresh, convenient, local. Higgerty's Home Interiors in Buncrana is hiring a full-time furniture delivery driver, €32,000 to €38,000 per year. Responsibilities include nationwide deliveries, careful handling and assembly of furniture, and warehouse support. Applicants must hold a clean Irish driver's licence, be fluent in English, physically fit and customer-focused. 8-hour shifts, 5 days a week with some overtime and weekend work. Immediate start available. Apply via email info@higgertys.ie or drop your CV in store. Join a trusted brand with 70+ years of excellence.
Gach blian brunamid na €1,000,000 na céta uaireanta an chlog agus na mílta airí ar chúise na maithe. Cuníonn an rialála cathairnas tafad ar gach cathairnas néidean. Mar sin mar hastain wet a rud ag na bhrunú ar chúis cathairnachta, teigad ar siomh gréasán agus seiceáil go man for tarbh mars ceart as do thuirtas. Clicáil, seiceáil, brun. Seiceáil an cathairnas chlóirithe ar checkacharity.ie. An réalála cathairnas. Bíoch muína as do thuirtas.
My next guest on the show is Mairead Jennings, who's director of Knock Youth Ministry. Good morning, Mairead.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's great to have you on the show. What is the Knock Youth Ministry? I think I can work it out, but I want it in your words.
Knock Youth, well, we're based here at Knock Shrine in County Mayo, and Knock Youth Ministry, I suppose our role, our mission is all about bringing young people to Knock, giving them a positive experience of Knock, and hopefully giving them an opportunity to connect or perhaps reconnect with their faith wherever they may be on that journey.
And there is a Dare to Hope conference for young people aged 18 to 30. It's to explore their faith. But I like the word hope there because, you know, I don't really mind where people get hope, but things can seem quite desperate at the moment. And you know, even if you're, you know, comfortable in your own mind, sometimes, you know, you might be uncomfortable because you lack hope or you feel disenfranchised or whatever it might be. So is this a way of maybe, I suppose, getting people in that age category to embrace their faith and you know, seek hope through it?
Absolutely. As you said, hope is so important, and sometimes it can be hard to find. We're just exposed to so much, and we know that there is so much going on, not only perhaps in someone's own personal life, but also in our own country and further abroad again. And hope is incredibly important. It's just that light at the end of a tunnel, that guiding force. And for me, that so much comes from my faith, knowing that I'm not alone and being able to lean on that faith, but also having an opportunity to have people within my faith community to speak to and to share that with. And I think that's part of what this day will offer is, yes, to explore that hope and to inspire us all in ways to really grow that within ourselves and help us bring that to other people in our communities, in our families, in our lives. So the day is all about hope, and it's about embracing that hope, but it's also about being together with other people who perhaps feel the same as you, who are looking to either explore their faith a little bit more, or perhaps are already feeling very strong in their faith and are hoping to inspire other people who attend. So hopefully it'll be a very joyful day. Yes, the theme is hope, and we do want to respect the fact that so many people are struggling with that right now, but the intention is to spread the hope and to bring that joy through this day.
Yeah, I think we aren't as resilient as we were once because we're raised a little bit differently. You know, we're wrapped in cotton bud. We're protected at every turn. We always have to have our phones on and everything is done for us. I know that sounds like a generalization, but I mean, generally comparing a generation of 18-year-olds to my generation of 18, and also in the absence of that is the absence often of resilience. So we are more exposed, our feelings and our emotions are more exposed, I think. Are you catching up now? So say, for instance, again, going back 30 years, you probably would be building on someone's faith that's been driven into them. But now it seems that, you know, there's a big drive to get religion out of schools. your communion, your confirmation a days out, really, effectively. And it's about how quickly you can get out of church and onto the bouncy castle, right? And how much cash you might get. And that's fine. I'm not being critical because I know exactly what it's like in my own house. So I just wonder, what sort of quality of faith 18 to 30-year-olds have now because of their exposure to it, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think perhaps I'm in a very lucky position because I do get to meet with people and engage with not only young adults but also teenagers. We do a huge amount of work here in Knock Youth Ministry with teenagers. I actually perhaps am not. I have a lot of hope, maybe because I engage and see them. The conversations that young people are having, the questions that they're asking, they're healthy. They're good questions. I actually think it's a healthier way to approach faith, is to be more aware of what you're actually engaging in, what you're being asked to believe in, or what you're being encouraged perhaps to believe in. When we sit down, we have loads of different groups, loads of different opportunities like this day to chat with young people, young adults, and faith is flowing from them. It does look different than what it looked like 30 years ago, but it's there, it's within them, and the curiosity is so huge. And I think in terms of those of us perhaps working in youth ministry or working in faith fields of any kind, or volunteering perhaps, or working behind the scenes in a parish with a parish council, it's creating safe spaces and creating opportunities for young people to come together to ask their questions, not to have any expectation on them, not to expect them to know or believe something, but just to create that opportunity for questions. And when we can do that, it's something we experience here in Knock. These conversations are so filled with the Spirit. They're very energizing conversations, and they're fantastic. So I suppose I get to see the hopeful side of faith in Ireland.
But do you find young ones sort of might say to you, like, I want to develop my faith, I want to have my faith, but does that mean I can't go out and stuff? Like, do young people differentiate, or do they feel that having a strong faith, there's other expectations of them in how they live their lives?
I'm not sure. I don't think so, to be honest with you. The young people we know, let's say those young people who perhaps journey with us for more of a long-term period that we actually get to see kind of grow and develop into young adults, they're doing exactly what every other young person is doing. They're going out, they're having fun, they're in school, they're in different clubs.
And what about sort of people at the start of that journey? Obviously they're mature people to understand, but I'm on about people at the beginning of their journey. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, you answered that question.
Is it that they might feel that they can't do those things?
Exactly. Like they feel like that having a faith and living your best life, the two can't coexist. So you've had similar events to this already, haven't you? Like what's the turnout like? Not necessarily in terms of numbers, but you draw people from all over the country. Do they come on buses? Are they dropped off by their parents? Like, what's the demo?
Yeah. For us, in terms of young adult ministry, so this particular gathering is for 18 to 30-year-olds, and we haven't here in Knock had a specific gathering for that age group in a while, but we would have large gatherings throughout the whole year with students from around the country. So, for example, on May the 9th this year, we had the Live Life Youth Retreat, which is in memory of Donal Walsh, and we had 2,500 young people. We had 50, 60 buses pull into the car park, and again, that dynamic,
that's huge.
You have a little bit of everyone. You have to approach the day with just an open mind and being open to whoever is sitting in front of you, and the energy that is here on the shrine, at the shrine on days like that, where these young people who are sitting in front of you realize that you're not trying to tell them to think a certain way or believe a certain way, but that indeed you're just maybe offering them inspiration, or perhaps a little bit of hope in their lives, that they're not alone if they feel like, do you know what, actually I do go to mass, take exams coming up. A young person might come to our exam mass here feeling like they're the only one, and all of a sudden they're one of 500 other young people standing around praying. So it's cherishing those moments and allowing young people to feel like this is a space for them, and that they're not alone if they feel like, actually I do want to go to mass, or I do want to light a candle, I would like to say a prayer, that there are so many other young people out there like that. And what we're really striving to do with this event is make sure those people have a place to come meet each other, gather, see that they're not alone, see that there are so many others just like them who are curious and who are wanting to dive in and explore a bit more about their faith.
All right, when is the event and how do people reserve their place online? Because you need to have an idea of numbers, of course.
Yes, absolutely. So the event is on June the 14th, which is a Saturday. It's being hosted at Knock Youth Village. But all of the information and the fastest and most, I suppose, direct way to book is to log on to www.catholicbishops.ie. And on their homepage, there is a click here button and it'll bring you to an Eventbrite page, but all the details, we have workshops, panel discussions, key speakers, all of the program for the day and details is up there. So if anyone's looking for more information, that's where I would recommend them to go.
And it's a one day, that one Saturday, and everything's packed into that. Okay.
It's a one day and lots packed into that day, but hopefully a very good day.
All right, listen, thank you very much indeed. That's Marie Jennings, Director of Knock Youth Ministry. That event for 18 to 13-year-olds, Dare to Hope. People get an anchor in their life in different ways. It could be from mindfulness, out walking. It could be your faith, and maybe that will... maybe if you're listening yourself, great. If you think that might suit someone, pass it on and let them know about it. Hi, Greg. I used to hunt with the Donegal Harriers. I never seen them coming home with a fox. It's not about fox hunting. It's about horse enthusiasts, young and not so young, having a good day, jumping, having a wee dram and having the crack and chat and a bite to eat and a bit of slagging of who fell off, biting the dust. Yeah, but do you have to chase a fox around to do that, really? Could you not do that in a different way? You can still have that community and love your horses and all that kind of stuff and have the bants. But anyway, it's not something I've ever partaken in, and this sounds terrible. It's not something it keeps me up at night either. So, I'm kind of in that grey area. That's why your views are so important. I was reluctant to do Revolut. I downloaded it for my daughter. I've gotten scammed twice in the space of 3 weeks. I just want others to be aware of scams. One transaction in China and one in Germany. I wonder what's going on there. Because really, with the young, if they're young people, you kind of have to approve their purchase. I just wonder, are they on Temu and Shein sites? A lot of young people want the Revolut so they can go on the likes of Temu and Shein, and they might not be going to the right sites and stuff. I could be wrong, but that kind of, I suspect that might be what's happening there, because whomever is scamming you can't have imagined your details. They will have to have been inputted somewhere. So I just wonder if the young person, if they are very young, might be trying to, buy their haul or whatever it might be. Hi, I've reported a tree that fell over in the storm to the council months ago. I reported it 3 times, and last night I had to go remove a branch at 12 because one of the branches blew out onto the road at Kilross. Only a matter of time before it causes a collision. The council are really good on that kind of stuff. I'm really surprised that you've had to I'm really surprised that you've had to call 3 times and nothing's happened. Right. Can we please refrain from blaming politicians to find out who's to blame for our issues? We need to look closer to home. Let's look at those who vote. Also, our relations, friends and neighbours who continually vote for the same political parties that have been in power across this state for 100 years. You see, it's easy to blame others. Well, let me blame a group of people. Those that don't vote. If those that don't vote came out and voted, they swing the election whichever way. Turn it on its head. But unfortunately, 4 out of 10 people don't. And maybe they're the most vocal about we keep voting the same. If you want change, you can't. If you've got hardcore 20% Fianna Fáil voters, 20% Fine Gael voters, and 20% Sinn Féin voters in this county, for an example, let's say that's the figures. They're all going to vote with their local party and the politician. That's the way it is. It's party politics. And then there's a certain amount will vote independent. And then there's a ton of people that do not vote at all. They're the ones that break the mould. If a mould is to be broken, maybe they might all come out and vote Sinn Féin or Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael. I don't know. But it's not. I wouldn't blame those that vote. I'd blame those that don't vote. But I'm not even blaming them, because in a way, not voting is a vote, right? But those that don't vote have a big say. Fox hunting is debatable sport. Majority of foxes killed at night by drive-by hunters with powerful searchlights and infrared-fitted rifles. I've recovered 5 foxes this year killed from shooting on my land adjacent to a roadway. Well, they're shooting them for sport in inverted commas. Last one on sport before the break. McCool's deserves more seating. For sure, it's our county pitch. The pitch hasn't been renovated in a while, and the GEA should look about more works. Also, wishing the boys the best luck against Cavan. We're all entitled to an off day. Indeed. Most of those players, if not all of those players, owe us very little in terms of giving up to the county. Sometimes you forget they're not getting paid, but they get to that level of fitness, that level of elite sports persons, and it's for the love of their club and the love of their county. Should never be forgotten either.
Whether it's muddy boots or outdoor gear, Cherrymore's premium kitchen and storage solutions bring style and function to your boot room or utility. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Join Slee Columkill on Saturday, June 7th for a special one-day 18-kilometre guided trail from Creeslough to St Columkill's Abbey and Garton. Follow in the footsteps of history with amazing scenery and heritage at every turn. Registration is at 9 a.m. at St Michael's Church, Creeslough, and you will be guided every step of the way. For more information and to book your place, visit sleecolumkill.org.
Go electric during our 252 event and discover our full range of rewired iconic Ford cars, including the all-electric Explorer, the all-new Capri, and the Puma has gone fully electric, starting from €29,900. Ford have gone electric. Ireland is going electric. So what's stopping you? Go electric. Book your test drive at Ford.ie. Offer ends 15th of June. Price includes grant and BRT relief and excludes delivery and related charges. T's and C's apply.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
I can't believe it's weather time again. The day is just flying in, it has to be said. And the weather's going to continue unsettled today. Rain's going to come in through the afternoon and evening, and the wind's going to pick up a little bit. Right, now, Lorraine McCafferty's with me on the show now. Hello, Lorraine. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing? Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to come on, Greg.
Not at all. Right, now, you are chair of the Northwestern Development Partnership. So we're going to be talking about Donegal Town specifically. Is this an organisation that is about Donegal Town, or is it wider than that and the focus just is on Donegal Town at the moment?
I think how I describe it is the development, so any infrastructural development would be planned for Donegal Town, but it would be to support Donegal Town and the broader surrounding areas. So, but we would be looking to build, we're concentrating on 3 things at the minute, but it would be centred within Donegal Town.
Yeah, because we were actually just having this conversation on Friday by coincidence. We were talking about, there's a lot of housing going up in and around Donegal Town, and it's, it's vibrant and it's buzzing, and, more developments out there, Killybegs Road, Tesco not far away. So I'm not saying that side of it's sorted, but where the gaps are being identified is in services, things to do, especially stuff that's not booze based. Not that there's any harm in that, but you know what I mean? The cinema was just on the brink and then that was lost. Different things, a more diverse range of things to do.
Yeah, listen, I think nobody's going to deny that we're probably about 20 years behind similar sized towns, both in County Donegal and throughout Ireland, right? We haven't benefited from the investment that other towns have seen. And we are looking for other things to do other than, as you say, more on the drinking side of things. So, what we're looking to do is base any development in Donegal Town on what the community wants, right? So, and we're going to do that through surveys. We've already did one for a sports and recreational hub. We reached out to 23 clubs. That's a catchment area of about 4,000 members, to see what, if a sports facility was to be built in Donegal town, what would be included in those facilities. And we had great feedback. And based on that, we've kind of moved forward to identifying potential sites, which we have. We spoke to the Minister a couple of weeks ago, the Minister for Sport, and we lodged an application under the Donegal Town Local Area Development Plan.
And briefly, what might that look like? Because, you've got 4 masters. It's a good site. You've got facilities at the AVS. You've got, your indoor soccer. You've got local soccer clubs. You've got the rugby club a wee bit out of town, right? So what were the people saying that the gaps that need filling there? Because from the outside looking in, some might say, well, that seems pretty well resourced. So what did the community come back with in terms of what's needed sports-wise?
I think the overwhelming response was that there just isn't enough pitches for training.
Yeah.
And that is the key
sort
one.
Sort of publicly
right?
owned as well, public access
Correct.
stuff. Yeah,
correct.
Okay.
And you also have, the girls' sports is obviously emerging as well. And when you have the pitches that we have or the facilities that we have, but you're trying to expand that all the time through more engagement, through the new population that's been added to the town, as well as trying to encourage additional kids and girls doing more sports. The facilities just aren't there to kind of facilitate all of that.
All right, interesting. Right, this survey that's out is it out yet? Has it been launched yet? It is out, right? So this is for members of the Donegal community and its surrounds. So the focus of this survey, what are you putting to the people? And listen, everyone needs to get involved in these surveys and have their say on the future development of the town, because now's the time, not after the fact. So what are you asking people?
Yeah, this is the first one of many, and it's the same with the sports one. So we're going to reach out to the community at various points throughout all of this development, right? These developments are what we call medium to long-term developments. They're large in nature. But the arts, culture and entertainment survey is just basically 13 very quick questions as to what your relationship is to the town, how you engage with arts, culture, and entertainment right now. Is it something that you do frequently or sort of like a once-off? And then what would you like to see when we think about arts, culture, and entertainment in the town? We also ask a question whether or not we think the existing facilities is sufficient. And we're seeing just from the 600 odd people that have already responded that it's certainly not, right, overwhelmingly. So,
well, if you think you've got Sligo, you've got Sligo's theatre and what have you, Ballyshannon, they've got their facilities. Then there's a jump to Ballybofey, Stranola, then on to Letterkenny, then on to Lifford. Really, our place space is the John Bosco, which is grand, right? But I mean, there aren't many other, so there aren't spaces that could match some of the towns I've talked of there.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And we're obviously working in hand with the Bosco committee as well.
And they're great. Don't get me wrong, they're great.
No. And they're very engaged. We're obviously, the results of the survey will drive a lot of what, will be set out as what the town needs. So obviously when we get that information, that will form the basis then for conversations, with the Bosco or with,
wherever,
Yeah, exactly, right. Nothing's set in stone. This is very much
because location and accessibility is part of it as well. And some people might say, let's get a site just on the outskirts of the town or what have you. So, but that's all in the mix. That's the views you want of people. What do you want? Where do you want it? Who can we work with in delivering it? What kind of space do you want? And I mean, it seems like a pipe dream, but these projects start somewhere, and public consultation's a great starting point.
Yeah, and I think also the transparency, right? So we have a Facebook and an Instagram page. There's a website being built sort of like as we speak. And what we're going to use those sort of platforms for is making the community aware of what we're doing, what our focus areas are, where we are on a particular topic or project. And they can, give us that feedback. But the surveys are going to be key. So it is really important. And for anybody who's listening out there, that wants to go to our Facebook page or our Instagram, Northwestern Development Partnership, you'll scroll down, you'll see that the survey for the arts and culture is pinned at the top of our page. Click the link. It's 13 questions. It'll only take you probably less than 4 minutes to fill it out. And, I think that's going to be vital for, what we design down the line.
Lovely stuff. Thanks so very much, Lorraine. Keep us in the loop. We'll share that link as well, as people might find it easy to find that way as well. Take care, Lorraine. Thanks for that. Great stuff.
Fantastic.
Bye-bye. Lorraine Cafferty there, Chair of the Northwestern Development Project. Okay. We'll share that at some point on our socials as well. A caller says, I think when a private housing development is taking place, the developer should have to pay a levy that would go towards sports facilities and amenities, such as a cinema. I think that $500 per house would be a good amount. Yeah, it's not a bad idea, I suppose. I'm not sure what... Greg, what do you mean not voting is a vote? Because the democratic right to vote and choose is a vote. But also people might say, I'm so dissatisfied with this system, I don't trust it and I'm not voting. And in a way, that is obviously a vote, if that makes sense. All right, chat to you tomorrow at 9. Have a great day. John Bres.